I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we are about to watch some of the best Carcassonne players in the world as we are approaching the final of the qualification cycle for the 2026 Carcassonne Champions League. This is the final match for the Fourth International Qualifying Tournament for 8 of the players who achieved the highest rating on Board Game Arena in 2025. And among them is the Finnish master and fellow YouTuber Otto Ikonen with the screen name Nallerheim, and a very interesting player, a rising star in Carcassonne, but more established name in the competitive circles of Azul, the Chinese player with the screen name Phosphate, with a peak Carcassonne elo already approaching 800s. Otto, of course, has had a very good year with a peak elo above 851. I want to talk about the players a little bit more, but before I just wanted to show you their history, how it all unfolded. Otto had some tough matches, 2-1 victory against Portugal's Afonso Cavaco with a screen name not new at this, then an absolutely legendary 2-1 win against the highest rated player in the entire pool, Japan's player with a screen name Rabbit Train, sending them to the lower bracket where they ended up later being eliminated, and now they're here facing their final challenge in this qualification cycle. Phosphate, on the other time, appears to have had a breeze. 2-0 against IMD5, 2-0 against a lawyer of Ukraine, despite losing both of these games initially, or at least despite having a disadvantage in both of these games initially. And Nallerheim needs only a brief introduction for those of you who don't know. Now I'm currently in very good shape, actually quite close to his peak rating again in the upper 800s, 13,000 games of experience. Phosphate now, that's a decent 657, only 1,500 games of experience, so learning very, very fast. 100 points below his peak, but the level of their performance seemed to be really top-notch in the previous match, at the very least, against Yaroslav Herasimenko of Ukraine. Of course, one thing that stands out, one number that stands out on this page, this here number, 1,000 rating points in competitive Azul on Board Game Arena, which is completely unhinged given that the threshold for Master is 700. And you may want to ask, why do I even want to mention Azul if we're playing Carcassonne tonight? Well, the answer is quite simple, because both are imperfect information games. And I notice myself that whenever I pick up a new imperfect information game, my Carcassonne starts improving. So my Carcassonne improved a lot when I started playing Azul competitive myself, when I started making competitive Azul videos too. And the same happened when I picked up competitive Scrabble. Because there's something about these games, if you know several imperfect information games and you start seeing the bigger picture somehow, or you can make analogies between games that help you improve in all of them. And there are, of course, people in this world who are purely Carcassonne specialists, and Otto is probably going to be one of them, having, of course, a brief infatuation with Catan and a couple of other games, but nothing compared to this. There are, of course, players who are successful like this, but I noticed that these multifaceted board game athletes, they tend to be very creative, they think quite a bit differently. And one big thing that I noticed about Phosphate's game is his main strength is the pre-end game. You know that situation where there are about like 8-10 tiles in the deck remaining in Carcassonne, and you can't quite calculate everything precisely, right? Because it's just too many permutations. But then you can't play positionally entirely like it's the middle game, because you already have a set of tiles that you know is in the deck, and you need to adjust your game accordingly. And I think he's good at that because the fourth rounds of an Azul game, for those of you who have played Azul, kind of give you the similar pre-end game practice where you have on some level perfect information because you know which exactly 20 tiles are remaining there for the last round, but you don't know the distributions, or at least if you do, it's kind of very hard to calculate one. And so you do something in between calculation and a positional game. And many Carcassonne players have trouble with that. Know when to switch mindsets, like when we just go from a normal middle game thinking, just trying to score points, to end game thinking, where we're trying to adjust our moves to the peculiarities of the tiles which are remaining in the deck. So in particular, Phosphate dropped 2 quite counterintuitive farmers in the pre-end game against Ukraine's Yaroslav Harasimenko last week, and ended up coming from behind in quite an unexpected fashion and winning that 2-0. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch the stream. It was live. And so I think if he can manage to deliver, again, a strong pre-end game, this is his chance to take Otto down. Otto, of course, well-rounded, no real weaknesses except for time management, where I think the Chinese player will be a little bit stronger here. So also, if Phosphate can manage to play fast, this is also going to be their chance. All right, so time to dive in a little bit deeper in this game. Players have accomplished a little bit on the scoreboard. Phosphate playing the red meeples, 3 points ahead. Otto with his traditional green, 3 points behind. He will be the starting player, so he will have the better scenarios, the better probabilities in the end game. And nothing much going on so far, so Otto starting a new lip-shaped city perhaps, looking for 4 Doritos. Phosphate's trying to break it, but look at this. Otto picking up one of the 2 perfect tiles that fit over here immediately. I have no doubt it's going to go over here. He's even going to meeple a new road. This is a fantastic tile here for the play with the green meeples. This square, of course, is mildly vulnerable, but this city has now become a threat overall. I don't think really Otto passes up this opportunity ever. Whilst it is not necessary to try and complete the city, you can benefit a lot from trying to create that threat. He will be taking advantage of the time control, which instead of the usual 15 minutes, which has been the case for the first part of the tournament, is now a 2.5-minute time bank with a 45-second increment. And so he will be trying to milk that increment every step of the way, every turn. I guess he might be contemplating, first of all, do we meeple the road if we go here? The answer to which is yes, but reluctantly, because of course there's this move with a curve, which starts pressuring 2 squares of green with the quadruple tile, with the quadruple crossroads gone out. So actually, if we go here and we place the road meeple, it sometimes does get blocked. But you kind of have to do this anyway, because if you don't do it, then you just give away 4 easy points to your opponent. But, it's... I'm not sure which one's the lesser of 2 evils. Probably this. Still 5 crossroads to go over here. Otto can now deal with his vulnerable city by just connecting everything to the red guy. Here, I presume this is going to be the case. What players have some started city projects at the top. Green with this loop road, ultimately for 7 points. So let's see what the Finn does here. There's really only one reasonable move. You really don't want to allow Reds to get a city cap and block the square and everything and get away with 8 points. So the Finn will be using his time bank, but undoubtedly this tile will defend over here to connect his more vulnerable city with a fresher construction project of the Chinese master. All right, hi Juan, hi Agatha. Hi, self-evident. Yeah, referring to a result that happened earlier today. Another Chinese player was playing in a different qualification tournament. You can probably see all the results from today on the scoreboard, or at least most of them. And Otto, I think, making the first mistake of the game. I don't understand that move. I'm not sure why he would do that. I don't think it's the best possible decision. Now, I understand where he's coming from. So he's basically just building a ruin. This is what it is. The ruin is, however, 7 points. Okay, it's going to be 10, 11, 12, 13, or whatever. But what I don't like about positions like these is that if you commit to a ruin a bit too early, even if the ruin is huge, even the ruin ends up being like 20 points, your opponent can really leverage their meeple advantage by creating a big field. They can start drawing city caps, dropping farmers left and right, and that one meeple on the ruin, as powerful as it may be locally, is going to make it difficult for green to participate in a field fight if it ever becomes necessary. And there's so many things which are still unclear about this position. For example, no monasteries have been drawn. Right, and if green draws some monasteries, then that's great, that they can kind of go for a fieldless win, have a bit of an advantage on the scoreboard, and then just build their ruin. But if red draws the monastery first, then green might have to fight with some farmers. Well, anyway, we'll see how this progresses. Otto decided not to unify their city. Together with red. Yeah, I'm really concerned that red is just going to get away with an 8-pointer here, but we shall see. Red, in the meantime, is building something at the top, trying to get themselves a city like this. Rhombus shape, still 7 Dorito tiles that fit into the square, in addition to 2 splitters. Otto can do something sneaky. Maybe if he gets a big tile of his own, he can go here, try to block the square, take advantage of the quadruple city tile has gone out. It's also an interesting run out. Wait, what's that about? And that is quite interesting. Anyway, so we'll be probably back in a second. Let me just check something. Yeah, I think everything appears to be fine on my end. Maybe Board Game Arena acting out a little bit. Sometimes happens these days. Just checked the stream health, it should still be fine. So let's just wait for the update from Board Game Arena. Hi Gina. Okay, maybe let's try to do it differently. Okay, well, finally, we're here. A couple of moves have been played, or maybe they have not been played. Now I kind of start wondering, is everything okay with the interface for the players themselves? Because no moves have been made. Well, we just saw the move on the screen, Phosphates continuing the city. And now I'm going to be struggling with the deployment of this curve, of course. And I think they could be genuinely thinking about this. Oh, thank you, Gina, for confirming that the issue is indeed on the part of Board Game Arena. It could be quite anticlimactic if we have to shut down the stream at all. Of course, we're not going to do that. In case this match gets postponed or cancelled, we're just going to do something else. We're going to solve some puzzles together. I am planning to keep streaming for the next couple of hours at the very least. Yeah, we can see that Otto is minus 30 seconds on the clock, and I'm pretty sure that it has nothing to do with them. It's not their fault at all, so this won't be counted as a loss. It's just Board Game Arena is incredibly laggy, which sometimes happens these days. Yeah, Kaik is saying that BGA is down. And this is where the organizers of the tournament might intervene. I think the main question about this, will the players be continuing this position? Or will they have to restart the match after BGA comes back live? Well, apparently the game is still going on. I think, of course, Nallerheim's loss on time is not going to be registered as a loss on time. That would be ridiculous, frankly, and I believe the rules of the tournament allow for such eventuality. Yeah, they have now suggested to make the game turn-based, because this is what you typically do when it happens. So turn-based means that you have 2 days per move. Now, of course, it's not going to be actually 2 days per move. The player still will be playing right now, but trying to what was I going to say? Yeah, but just simply trying to make their moves in a reasonable time. And Otto here with a rather interesting move chooses to invade the city of Phosphate at the bottom. It wasn't actually just an invasion, it was a sneaky blocking threat. If this here tile were to belong to green instead of to red, green would have gone over here and blocked the square, trapping his one meeple compared to the blue meeple, to the 2 meeples of his opponents. Phosphate managed to save himself and exactly creates the problem that I was talking about. Because you see, this guy's going to get himself 10 points in a meeple back. This guy's going to be stuck at 8 and maybe developing a little bit further. But that meeple is permanently blocked. It is Sophie's choice blocked, needing the same tile in 2 squares, whilst the only one such tile available in the deck. So really, this decision to not unite the 2 cities could cost Nallerheim pretty dearly. Still, it's a playable position. Otto could now finish his road, get some points on the scoreboard. This would increase the vulnerability of his city, but he chooses to not do that precisely because of the city vulnerability issue. So the idea, of course, was that had he finished the road, then Phosphate could have gone over here and tried to block this. Instead, Phosphate now attacks Otto's road, which honestly green has to be pretty relieved about, because this square was unusually vulnerable for this position, because it could be restricted toward the starting tile, a tile like this, only one of which is remaining in the deck. Otto now gets himself a fantastic draw, a tile that fits into this square, which he probably will end up taking advantage of. This will, however, give him only 1 point, right? Because this here green guy is 1 point, this here red guy 2 points, so it's just a net 1 point move. He will be able to meeple this here 4-point road as well. This could be quite useful. But he figures he does not want to invest 1 more meeple. He just builds up his ruin. And the worst case scenario, but also the frequentest scenario, comes to fruition. 10 points and a meeple back versus 9 points and no meeple back for Otto. This is one move which he'll remember for a long time. Still, again, playable position. Still almost equal on the scoreboard after the splitter move. Some small setups which need to be completed. But overall, of course, red is the favorite here. Hi, Nazar. I see most of our viewers are rooting for Otto. Who now takes 2 points, only 4 points behind on the scoreboard. Red, however, with an army of meeples. Probably now going to go for a monastery for 5 points. Does not choose to do so, which is quite interesting to me. Instead, takes just 2 points. I think going here was quite a natural move. Controlling this meeple. Setting up a 3-point road. Yeah, I'm not sure why the Chinese master chose to be conservative in this here instance. Maybe he wants to threaten the block of this here meeple. I guess this is his intention later, like get something like this. Block this meeple, Then try block that meeple as well. There are 3 dagger tiles remaining. 2 left-handed daggers that would fit into this square, but now only 1 right-handed dagger that would fit into this square. Otto gets himself a meeple back, drops the first farmer of the game. I'm even going to call it before he's going to do it. I can't see him not dropping a farmer here. This would be very consistent with his style. But since he's thinking about it, I guess I can see him not dropping a farmer, but apparently not longer than a couple of seconds. Yeah, the field seems to have a lot of prospects, 2 completed cities on it, lots of green squares, a couple more cities to appear in due course. And this first farmer gives additional win condition options for Otto. I can definitely see a situation how he could develop the field into something of a decent size and then just keep the majority on the field through geometrical means. In the meantime, Red chooses not to continue with the block of Green's meeple here. And I guess the reason why he chooses to do so is that even with this here partial restriction, there is a surprisingly low number of tiles that fit into the square. And this is also why Phosphate didn't want to bother with the monastery over here, because he really, really wanted to block this green meeple as it is. And so what do we have? First of all, we have only 1 dagger tile and 1 starting tile. Just 2 city caps that fit into the square. We also have 0 triangle tiles, interestingly, and just 1 triple city tile that could continue the city without finishing it. This is quite interesting that most of the time in this situation, Green just does not finish this city. And Red, I guess, will try and block this here city eventually. Not right now. Yeah, they chose to go from this side. This gives Otto some more breathing room. I guess their city will be restricted to a 50-50 eventually. Either from this side, leaving 1 starting tile, or from this side, leaving 1 dagger. This meeple still is going to stay vulnerable for a while, but it's not going to be fully blocked, at least for a couple more moves. In the meantime, we see how Green is desperately trying to protect his road as well, because this was also vulnerable, because with a city tile like this, for example, Red could have gone over here and now severely restricted that square as well. Again, like this unusual tile distribution, right? The fact that all 3 rose tiles have gone out. The fact that all 5 road Doritos have gone out. It's just so few tiles remaining in the deck with a city and road segment on them that it makes for a completely different game now. Otto is preparing to finish a shared city. Maybe even dropping a second farmer, which wouldn't be crazy at all. He could even do that right now. In the meantime, his road is being threatened quite a lot. So I could see a couple of interesting moves here from Otto. Option 1. We finish the city. We get a meeple back. We increase our field. We might drop a second farmer straight away and try to build a huge field with 2 meeples. Or we might just keep things tight and meeple the new city cap. Option 2 is we could go over here and now protect our road from getting blocked. But what I absolutely did not see coming is this move, which is just finishing the shared city and not doing nothing much. I wonder why Otto didn't want to meeple that city cap. I think it's an imprecision. I think he can afford to meeple that city cap, and you want to meeple that city cap because Phosphate actually is not in a rush to finish off these here cities necessarily, and they are these extender tiles, all 3 extender tiles still available in the deck, which Otto could use, or which Phosphate could use to take this city. Right, so this is actually quite interesting. So Green gets a meeple back with the last possible dagger right before it was gonna be blocked. Green has the majority on a rather sizable field, a ruin which is not that bad at all, and honestly, Green is just somehow just ahead. Red, I think, with an imprecision here. Red is blocking this here city cat, which makes a lot of sense. But on the other hand, it also eliminates a field attacking platform. But maybe this is what Phosphate wants, because Phosphate's idea is to attack the field not through this here area, which would have been natural, but actually through finishing his own city and dropping a farmer and maybe getting a monastery or a curve connecting through this here area. Now, as a result of Green trying to protect his road, now Green is going to get this meeple back as well, because there's still 5 tiles remaining there. Then there's another field attacking platform, where either side can drop a farmer. And I feel that as we're slowly running out of monastery tiles, 2 monasteries with the road have been used as road tiles, 1 regular monastery has been used as a blocking tile. Anyway, so as we run out of those monastery tiles, we're also running out of scoring opportunities. And as we run out of scoring opportunities, we gradually increase the strategic importance of the field in this game. So it seems to me that the Chinese player will have to start dropping farmers in order to start winning this position. But Green prevents them from doing so by trying to connect to their little city. Instead, Phosphate just scores, already 6 points ahead on the scoreboard. Some fieldless winning ideas still in the air, but maybe a bit tricky. A move that we're going to see from Otto is probably going here, taking away the secondary field, trying to also threaten this here city a little bit. Otto instead chooses to drop a farmer a little bit differently, and I wonder what the reason for that might be. I actually simply just plainly don't like the idea. I don't see why you don't want to drop a farmer here, and at the same time create a threat against this here guy. Well, I can see some reasons. For example, maybe you want to prevent your opponent from going here and dropping a farmer. But first of all, there's only 1 tile that fits here anyway. And second, Red can now go here and drop a farmer anyway. Yeah, I don't quite see why Green would not play the same move, but just 1 square lower. I do, however, condone the decision to take care of the secondary field as well as the primary field. Alright, Otto gets a scoring tile, but it's not an obvious decision here. The natural move, of course, is to get 4 points, which are actually 7 points because it's in his field. But there's another strategically interesting alternative, and this is to go over here, to score 1 point for the city and to unify the 2 farmers together. This would give negative points to Green in the short term, because now you could not score twice for this here city, which has been scored by this here farmer and by this here farmer, right? It will be all 1 in big field. So if we go here, the move will be -2 instead of +7 in the short term, but it will establish dominance on the field. And maybe Otto is going to go just for that. Because let's say if we don't do this, then that's it. This is the last chance to get this guy into the field. And Otto says, that's okay. I'm going to play with 2 fields. I'm going to maybe even let Phosphate invade my main field, which is exactly what happens. And then I'm going to simply try and re-invade that field myself. Well, let's see if he gets a tile to do that, and he does not get a tile to do that. He really needed a city tile over here to drop a farmer from this here area. And this is, in fact, the only high-prob field connection platform there is. There is also this here move available for somebody to drop a farmer and connect through the outside of a curve, but there is still not 1 but 2 crossroad tiles in the deck for a potential block of that invasion opportunity. So, as Otto, I guess my first thought is to go over here and to start blocking such invasion opportunities. Even if I don't get to invade the field, at the very least my opponent does not get to do that. And he does exactly this. And it's not just a block, it's actually also a sneaky connection opportunity, because I can easily see how a curve can be drawn here, a straight line can be drawn here, and something like a crossroads can be drawn here, and this here farmer can make it all the way to the main field like this and reclaim the majority. Red, in the meantime, has the chance to just make a natural move, unifying his little farmer with the big farmer of green. If we just go here, with or without a meeple on this monastery, then we equalize the field, and we also make this here connection for either side really, really unprofitable, because it could be blocked from this here square, in addition to, of course, getting the crossroad tiles that would disrupt the curve. I'm very curious to see what alternative Red has, and Red does exactly this with a meeple as well, because they have meeples to spend. And I can see how Red could win, perhaps without winning the field, just equalizing the field. Otto, however, has some good things going on for them. They have the secondary field for 6 points. They have themselves, a ruin for 9, which is actually quite valuable. What is Phosphate going to do here? Maybe just meeple a road, actually, for 5 points. Honestly, not crazy. You just want to build things. And then if you get a crossroads, like you can get a straight line, you can get a crossroads, you can renew the threat of connecting to the main field. It could work actually quite well. I think this is the move that we're going to see. In the meantime, the move at the bottom has nothing to do with blocking this square. This square was already blocked. The purpose of the move at the bottom is to try and create some unpleasant trees for the red meeple at the bottom. If a Dorito is drawn, then this here meeple will be all but blocked, because it will be connected to this here blocked square. I assume this was Nallerheim's intention. And he figures that it is better than the alternative. The alternative was to score 1 point, but it's difficult to score 1 point for this here city without positional concessions. If you go here with this here tile, with a city tile, it gives back a connection opportunity to the ruin, so your opponent can easily share those 10 points. If you go here, then even worse, it gives back a field attacking opportunity through this here square. Despite the fact that field connection tiles are few and far between. Actually, never mind, they're 0. Maybe it was okay to do that anyway. But that was the choice that was made. Phosphate does come down with a 5-point road. I like that decision, because really scoring seems to be super, super important. It is not clear if any more farmers will be drawn in this game at all. Will be dropped in this game at all. Otto can now try a Vladimir Kovalev style field connection. I'm not sure if tiles allow it, but there is one Gambity move which comes to my mind, and this is simply here. We continue our opponent's road, and we even help them loop it, but we meeple the city cap with the intention of getting another city cap, dropping a farmer over here, and then having either this or this route to grab a sequence of 2 tiles from the deck to connect to the field. And this move looks a bit crazy because it helps our opponent's road a little bit too much, but the upside is so high that I'm not sure if Otto is going to go for it, but he's going to at least consider it. There are actually not that many alternatives. I guess he could drop a city cap in his field, but all of these options have downsides. If we go here, okay, we drop the city cap in the field, but we also create a field attacking platform for our opponents to equalize. And if this field turns into a 9-point field, we might want to be a bit more protective about it. If we want to protect against invasion platforms, we might go over here, which would result, unfortunately, in red being able to drop a farmer like this and connect to the main field in that area. There was also the third option of dropping a city cap here, which didn't work for a different reason, and that's why Otto chose to place the tile all the way off screen at the top. In the meantime, Phosphates continues yet another city, finishes it, gets a meeple back, 8 points ahead on the scoreboard. And I think a slight lead overall as a result. Also a meeple extra. Otto, however, is going to get eventually a curvy tile to get a meeple back from his road. So, if I'm the Finn here, I think I'm going for the natural move. Exactly, yeah. Score some points, develop the farm at the bottom, get the extra points for the mini battle, claim the 4-point road, which can be finished with 2 tiles. Quite an easy decision here for Otto, and he goes for it exactly. He will give an extra meeple back to red, but it really ain't no big deal because 3 meeples, 4 meeples really doesn't make a lot of a difference. Well, I guess it makes a little bit of a difference because the extra meeple could be used for monastery tile, and in fact, monasteries are quite powerful. At least the one remaining monastery is quite powerful in this position. If red gets the one remaining monastery, red goes here for 5 points and creates a chance for them to build something beautiful here. If green gets the monastery, then green goes here for not only 6 points, but also the expansion of the field. Alright, so the predictable move has been played. Otto now, of course, is going to take full advantage of the new time control, which is basically no conceivable time limit, like no practical time limit on the moves. Craft Giraffe is saying, with a little bit of bad luck, we're stuck in the stream for the next 2 days. For the next 4 days. Actually, Craft Giraffe, it's more than that, because the technical format for the turn-based game, I believe, is 2 days per move, if I'm not mistaken. So that it gets renewed every time. So we could be stuck here for weeks or months if both players truly take their options. Wow, that is a risky move by Phosphate. He's now trying to block the road of Nallerheim, but I don't think that Nallerheim really needed that road so hard. But this move is risky because it creates a field connection opportunity, which Otto could use right now if he so chooses. He can go here for 0 points, hope that his opponent does not get a blocking tile, and that he himself gets a curve to connect to the main field. But it's such a dilemma, right? If he goes here, then his farmer could be blocked for 0 points. But if he doesn't go here, for example, if he goes here at the top, which is probably what I would do, then Phosphate can use one of his 4 dispensable meeples to try and create that threat with 0 points, get a straight line, connect to the field. And this would be, of course, very dangerous, very difficult to reinvade. But are we even in a position to drop a 0-point farmer with a meeple minority with a connection chance of maybe 30% max, if not less, just because there are more blocking tiles than there are connection tiles, and most remaining tiles in the deck are blocking tiles for our opponent? But Otto does this anyway, because he figures that leaving this spot open for Phosphate is just a little bit too much. And it's not like he's ahead by a lot. Now, as it stands now, Otto is ahead overall, despite being down 8 points on the scoreboard. This ruin and this field and these roads compensate for it nicely, and they compensate these here 10 points from the monastery and the road of red as well. But he figures that red can still drop farmers, red can still use his meeples, so why not we play a little bit more risky? And this totally works, so there's a lot of tension now in this position as players are racing for a connection tile or a blocking tile. Both draw a straight line, which is not what they wanted. Red continues his road, but this move is more than just a mere continuation of the road. The purpose of this move is to also set another field connection, is to get a crossroads, drop a farmer here, and then get a curve and connect like this. But then I also see another opportunity. Maybe if a crossroads is drawn by red on the next move, red goes over here and blocks this here guy permanently. But then green can get another crossroads and go over here and have an over 90% chance of getting a curve, continuing and finishing the road for red, but ensuring a majority on an absolutely huge field. We don't even have to count their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 completed cities on it, right? So this is 24 points. For some reason, it looks bigger than that, actually. And if either of the player manages to get a majority on the field, this will result into a win, whether it is green or red. Hexic is saying so many red meeples in hand. Yeah, exactly. This is an interesting thing about the meeple majority, that there's a time window to use it. And there are just not so many tiles remaining where Phosphate can take advantage of his meeples. Well, now, of course, he can get a farmer somewhere, as we just discussed. He can maybe pick up a ruin for 5 of 6 points with any city tile, and there's still a couple of those in the deck. There's a cow, for example, so he could pick up this for 5 points. And there's a monastery tile, which he can use to score some points over here. So that's something. So actually, Otto's farmer makes a lot of sense. What a move here from Otto. He's now trying to set up himself another field connection platform. That's what this move is. Phosphate now is forced to block. He needs to spend a tile to block Nallerheim's farmer, and this might allow Nallerheim to drop another farmer at the top. It seems that green has committed to the field play. It seems that green does not believe in winning this game without the field, which does surprise me a little bit. After all, isn't green like 14 points ahead at the moment? I can very easily see how Phosphate will not be able to collect 14 points. So I'm not sure what I think about that secondary platform. What if we did the opposite? What if Otto were to go over here, for example, sacrifice a point, but simply make sure that his opponent cannot drop any more farmers? Because now Otto can get 3 more points, for example, by expanding his field and getting an extra castle in here. This would result in some problems, though. The bottom field being 12 points, it would be possible for Phosphate to go here with the cow tile, drop a farmer like this, then get a monastery tile and connect to these 12 points. Yeah, this is a very, very tricky situation. And this is exactly the kind of pre-endgame that I was talking about at the start of the stream. So this is where Azul experience will be super handy for the player with the red meeples here. Because they deal with this situation in round 4 of Azul games left and right. A monastery has been drawn by red, whilst green has recovered their road meeple. It's an equalish position now. Otto expands his field. Phosphate now probably can get the ruin. And this is exactly what they do. They get the 6 points. Otto with a scoring tile, but no place to get 2 quick points. We have depleted the supply of curves in the deck. So this idea of dropping a farmer at the top like this, or even dropping a farmer over here, no longer works. I think actually Otto might have to make a weird move, simply just claiming this road for 3 points, and then even having a chance to get a meeple back later, or just to score quick points if he gets another crossroads. And he does exactly that. Phosphate with a super useful scoring tile, which can give them 4 points or something. Note also the meticulous planning of red, because red knew that there are going to be several quick point tiles in the deck. This one, another tiles like this, which is still in the deck. And so he spent a meeple for just a 2-point road, because he has so many meeples to spend, just so that he does not end the game with a meeple surplus. And this will be exactly the case. I don't really see a better move. He's going to score 2 points over here, probably after some deliberation. Not much to be discussed here. There might be an argument, actually, for attacking the ruin at the bottom. But I think that this is not strictly necessary. So let's try and calculate for a second. Or maybe not. So 4 extra points for Phosphate, plus 8 again on the scoreboard. Otto now with a very simple endgame. He has a city tile for himself. I'm not sure if he has to use it with the meeple or without. So really the two main moves are going here for 1 point, or going here for 3 points and placing a meeple. I think maybe going here is a little bit more precise, because if we get the last crossroads, I guess we can still technically go here for 3 points. But what is the other tile in addition to the crossroads? That is the question. It is not a straight line, not a curve, not a monastery, and not a city cap, I believe. Yeah, so Otto does go for a 3-point city, knowing that the last 2 tiles are a crossroads and this, but wasn't it an imprecision? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, because you know what? At first, I thought that red can take this 4-point city, but red can take 4 points in this case as well. So actually Otto lost a coin flip here, as Phosphate was able to score 2 points for the city and 1 point for each of the monasteries, and Otto will be scoring 0 with his last move. So maybe he would have been slightly better off had he gone here. He would have been 1 point better off. This is going to be quite close. I think the Chinese master did it, but it was so back and forth. It was quite tricky to track the points. So if anything, it is more interesting that way when we don't know the exact scores. But yeah, red just has too many features in all parts of the board that the extra 12-point farmer of Nallerheim just is not going to cut it. And the meeple majority ends up doing its job. -7 for Nallerheim, despite being +14 a few moves before the end. And Phosphate has calculated themselves just enough time to use the meeple majority to their liking. Yeah, there was the 6-point ruin over here, multiple monastery points over here with the last monastery tile. So a classic example of a fieldless win, and it turns out that this early gambit really did not pay off, because this here city ended up being 9 points with the meeple stuck for it forever, and Phosphate City ended up being 10 points with a meeple back. So one game decisive mistake from the Finn very early, where he could have unified his big vulnerable city with the cleaner city of red ended up not doing this and getting himself a little bit of a difficult position, which also started very well. It started with him gaining the field control. Red just got himself the farmer just on time. And then both sides were poking at the field a little bit, but did not manage a full-scale invasion. Helge saying, I think red could easily outscore green with equal fields and 8 tiles remaining using his extra meeples. Well, it is easy to say now that we see that the monastery has been drawn. But like, if we're having a different monastery situation, it's entirely different. Let's say if Otto gets the monastery and goes here for 6 points and still has a meeple to play with, I can get a curve over here as well. And Phosphate does not get this monastery. Now red is in actual trouble and red could easily lose this. So this monastery might as well be the game-winning tile in combination with these here quick points. Yeah, so now both players are now discussing how to start the next game, and the main idea is, of course, do we go for a real-time game, which is, I think, what the rules are. I think we still are supposed to try and start with the real-time format, with the 2.5-minute time bank and the 45-second increment, and then if Board Game Arena starts acting out again, then we switch to turn-based. If the players, however, both agree on turn-based, or if both players misinterpret the rules equally, we can't interfere, and whatever they agree on, the result will stand. So let's take a little bit of a break as this discussion is happening. I'm going to leave the chat for you, and I'm going to go and get myself some hot beverages, and I recommend you the same. Oh, let me make the scoreboard a little bit smaller, I guess. Yeah, I didn't realize that it only works if I make the game in full screen. So this is going to be the scoreboard now, a little bit cleaner so that you can see the meeples of both opponents at all times. Alright, so I'm going to leave you here. See y'all in a couple of minutes. Alrighty, the stock has been replenished. Now, yeah, Self-Evident is asking, will the second game be real-time or turn-based according to the rules? According to my best understanding of the rules, the second game should be real-time. And then if we have issues again, then the same drill, whoever runs out of time does not lose, and we switch to turn-based. I guess this is what both players are now trying to figure out. But real time would be my answer. Also, it depends on the server status, I guess. So the second part of the game did occur with no issues. We can trust Board Game Arena enough. Well, I'm not sure if we can, but like we don't really have much choice. We can probably trust Board Game Arena for half an hour more. All right, let's just see what else they write in the chat. Okay, so we finally have a decision, one which appears to be correct. The second game is going to be real time, as it should be. So in a minute or so, we're going to continue. Phosphate is saying they want to just obey the rules. It will make the organizers tear up. Laudable attitude. Alright, so it looks like the table is being created. Wait, what's the other turn-based game? So curious. Ah, no, this was the table set up for another turn-based game. No, 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 we need a real-time game. Let's just keep refreshing the page until something happens. Yeah, there we go. The original rematch offer has been retracted. The modified settings will come into place shortly. Otto now has an uphill climb, needs to win 2 games in a row in order to qualify for the Champions League. Of course, I need to remind you all that we're playing in a double elimination system, so whoever wins guarantees themselves the spot in the main stage of the Champions League, but whoever loses will still have a chance in the consolation final, which is 2 weeks from now. And it could be, against either Devdin or Miss Penguin. Alrighty, so the table has been created, the game has started, and away we go. Phosphate is now the starting player, still with the red meeples, Otto still with his traditional green. Both players now have monasteries next to each other. The red city is about to get completed for 8 points. Otto is trying to prevent this by starting a new city and creating a vulnerability next to this square. Now we're going to see how the Chinese player plays their openings. How aggressive are they? The most aggressive move is not this, but one which places this tile one segment higher a little bit, which I think would have been slightly preferable. It doesn't make that big of a difference, but it makes somewhat of a difference. Alrighty, so red is now trying to block Nallerheim City, but Nallerheim with the best possible tile in the deck, or one of the best possible tiles in the deck, but he has two good uses for them. Option one, my favorite move, is we go over here. We continue our monastery directly, our city indirectly, and we try and block our opponent, leaving only two tiles that fit here. This would still, of course, leave this vulnerability. We could eventually get blocked here, but it's still absolutely worth it. An alternative, of course, was going over here, but this would have allowed our opponents to finish the city and would have resulted in the block anyway. So a clutch find here from the Finnish master. Red now needs to make the split a tile work. If you're green here, you're actually happy to see your opponent with a tile like this, because regardless of how this tile is going to be placed, they'll be forced to leave an empty city cap up for grabs. However, I have my doubts if Otto is actually going to bother taking the city cap. I think he might want to go here instead. Protect his city, protect this here square a little bit, and maybe even start here. But actually, wait a minute. Why do we even have to protect that square? Because you know what? I think I go here, and I'll tell you why. If this square gets blocked, yeah, exactly. Then we can block this square, and we're going to have two meeples blocked, and our opponent's going to have two meeples blocked as well, and it's going to be roughly even money mini battle. And we can also have our cake and eat it too. The city here is pre-completed, still 5 Doritos, 2 splitters, so 7 tiles fit into the square to complete it immediately. Phosphate doesn't bother attacking, gets himself the first points on the scoreboard. The second meeple here is some nice insurance. Nallerheim is now not going to go over here, because why would he? Instead, we might see a farmer over here, actually. We might see a move here. Ideally, we could see a move here, trying to block the square, but this is not possible because we cannot create a vulnerability against ourselves. Maybe here, just equalizing the road, also opening some chances to block this here square. Otto chooses to continue both monasteries, but creating a vulnerability in this square. And this could result into this here blocked, well, not blocked, but soon to be blocked, green meeple controlling 2 blocked red meeples. Now, part 1 of the plan has been completed. This square has been blocked. Otto, however, unable to block the second square as a straight line is drawn by red. Otto can still break that a little bit and maybe even drop a farmer. I think we should go for it. Even though it's difficult to block, it will be just annoying for our opponent to spend a valuable crossroads simply for the sake of getting a meeple back. Phosphate now has a difficult decision with a city cap. These here 3 squares are all super sensitive. So let's walk through the options. Option 1, we go here and we basically give up on the idea of blocking this square, but we try and block the other square instead. But I really like the choice of the Chinese Azul Master here, trying to go for the jackpot, trying to set up multiple blocks, If red gets a tile like this, or like a rose tile, for example, red can block 2 meeples at once. One with 100% certainty, the other one with a 50% certainty, because there's only 1 dagger like this remaining, and Otto does not get a defense tile. And what's an emotionally unpleasant situation it might be, you know? Because like when you don't get a defense tile, and you don't see which tile your opponent has in hand, and so for all you know, they could have a rose, they could have a Dorito, they could have something that makes the situation quite devastating for you. Otto starts a new road, wants to get some points, and Otto does not get a defense tile yet again. Phosphate does not get a blocking tile yet again. Still super tense, but this is a nice move. Trying to start a new city, trying to complete his monastery before red can complete his. It's actually going to go a long way. If green can get a curve, green can meeple this road preemptively, not allowing red to take full benefit of this crossroads. And of course, if red gets a crossroads, that red can easily meeple this road, controlling this here monastery development. Phosphate with a fantastic tile, though he cannot block nothing, but at the very least he can go here and equalize one of the cities. But will he even do this, or will he go for the money move? No, of course he does this. This is the smart thing to do. This is the wise thing to do. This is the savvy, practical thing. We don't go for 2 birds in the bush. We go 1 in the hand. The 1 green bird in this here area. And this meeple still is somewhat restricted. Red will be able to finish his city. Red will threaten the complete block. Green will have to react, even if green draws a tile that protect this here square at all. At the moment, green with a great draw, several options. I think we're going to see a move here, possibly with a meeple on the road, possibly without. A greedy alternative is to go over here for 2 points, drop a city cap next to our monastery, and like create this. Yeah, he goes for the greedy move. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I can understand it very, very well. It's probably my second choice, not my first, but no, it's good. It's good. It's good. I can see that. I can see that. Green now finishes the city, threatens a complete block. Otto must get himself a defense tile, but he does not. He gets only an indirect defense tile. He still absolutely has to use it. There are too many blocking opportunities. The best move that we have is to go over here and hope that our opponent does not get to Dorito, does not get to Rose, and that we can draw a city cap before it. Still 3 vanillas and 2 splitters that fit into the square. So if we go here, we're still the favorite to make it out alive. If we don't, any curvy tile goes over here and gives red a huge advantage. I'm pretty sure the Finnish master knows this. But the reason why he doesn't go here is before making such an indirect defense, we need to first of all assess, like, is it even worth it? Can we afford to lose this meeple? And I think you can quickly see how the answer is nope. We cannot really afford to lose this meeple. This allows, of course, Phosphate to pick up the empty city cap. Nallerheim now is going to connect the cities. This, again, seems to be the smart choice. This also allows for some scenarios of a big tile to be drawn here. Now this can turn into a big city if a tube is drawn and a Dorito is drawn, and a green can take the majority here. Or, you know, you don't even have to have a tube. You can actually just have a splitter tile. Oh, I lost a game very painfully in the semifinals of the 2021 European Championships against Yegor Muzikov. Precisely because of this pattern where, like, a splitter is drawn and the city is taking over. And you know what? It's even possible in some lines for red to finish green city and go here for the city takeover. This, of course, for now is just fantasizing. We can see green breaking red city at the bottom, green getting his own city out, red equalizing green's monastery, so natural moves that are played, while Phosphate does not go for the content move, and rightfully so. Otto will make it out alive, will get himself the advantage in this game. He will probably even drop a farmer for 6 points, potentially 9, as the tile is drawn here to expand the reign of this here agricultural professional. Phosphate reclaims the lead on the scoreboard temporarily by scoring these here quick points. City cap for Nallerheim. Several options with it. I think we probably double down on the farming route. A move which I quite like is going at the bottom, dropping a second farmer, restricting the square, leaving a city cap for grabs. So I was thinking something like this, then just solidifying the lead on the farm. Because you know what? I think we need to drop a farmer quite soon, actually, because now red has an option to go here and drop a farmer like this. This could be quite powerful for them. Otto does this, which, yeah, okay, I can see that, but I'm not sure how much I like what it does to that poor second farmer, though, who could stay just for 6 points. I guess Green's idea is to draw one of the 2 remaining daggers that would cash it into a 12-point field, so 2 high-impact tiles that fit into the square. But this also allows red to retrieve his monastery, but not if green does this first. He chooses to finish this monastery, does not claim this road, which honestly, again, I don't know how much I like that. I would have preferred to claim this road just to not give 4 easy points for red, because red's eventually going to go there. For now, red's probably going to do something like this to protect, or this. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. An easy move here from Otto, trying to prevent the completion of the city, or at the very least, trying to prevent a farmer from being dropped. The only thing to quibble about is, of course, the orientation of this tile. I believe classic is best. Yeah, like you look at these here starting tiles, you look at these here 2 roses, you see so many city plus road tiles gone out. City plus road orientation it is. This meeple is suffering big time. But a nice tile, actually, to bail out. You can go over here. You can now set up one of the 2 Dorito tiles. Or you might want to go over here and protect the square from being blocked. He chooses to go for the big points. Nallerheim with the first of the 2 Dorito tiles now can make some nasty blocks. Option 1, we go here. We make our opponents need city plus road tile everywhere. Option 2, we just finish our road. And surely now we can meeple this guy? No, he just wants to have himself the meeple majority. He does not care about quick points. He just simply wants to have firepower to fight for the field. And he's saying, you know what? You can have all the quick points in the world that you want. These 4 points not going to do nothing much for you. Even if you claim this long road later, I'm going to develop my farmer so hard it will make your head spin. Split a tile for Nallerheim. He chooses to try and permanently block Phosphate City. It's not going to work, but at the very least, it will make sure that it's not going to be easily completed. I think quite an easy move here from Phosphate to save his meeple. We'll go here, because if we don't go here, we'll lose ourselves. But no, he wants to gamble a little bit harder. He will allow Otto to potentially finish the city and potentially block the square. He wants to protect this here area. Nallerheim now protects this here square. He now has 2 critical tiles that fill here for the slight expansion of the top farmer, for the reunification, for the ultimate field control. This is looking very good for green. Red has difficult choices now. Red could go here, maybe even dropping a farmer in this here area if he so chooses. Red could go here, actually, and meeple this road and set up a crossroads. That's also another strong move. Then, yeah, he could go the scoring route, because he goes here, then he gets another crossroad, goes here, scores a 5-point road like this. This could work actually very well, surprisingly well for red. He chooses not to do that. He chooses to make, to go for this move, and I can totally understand it. Of course. He figures that he wants to complete this here city. There's still one road Dorito available in the deck, which would give a lot of points, like 14 or 16 to red. 16, actually, in this particular instance. No, 14, because shieldless is the remaining tile. Otto's now going to try and block this here square a little bit, but I'm not even sure if it is in his interest. Phosphate with a road tile. He could go over here to continue his row, but this would make his road meeple a bit more vulnerable. Eventually, of course, you want to recover it. Maybe we go here, actually. And believe it or not, this is not a crazy move at all. It's a self-block in a way, but one which could be beneficial. Instead, he chooses to go there, block this square. Nallerheim now not able to block this here area. He's going to probably be forced to just take, of course, the quick points at the top. Developing the field now. Green is going to have the advantage. Even if this guy completes the city, but if this guy does complete the city, red will be ahead on the scoreboard after this one, a few points, but green, with the field control, is surely feeling themselves really, really well. Otto could even triple down if they go here on a 9-point field like this. Honestly, not the worst decision. Or maybe we just hold our horses and go here, go the scoring route, take the 6-point road. If our opponent finishes this road for 4 points, gets the monastery meeple back, then at least we finish the road on the top. So that could work well for us. Since we have 2 farmers and our opponent is a bit short on meeples, it could be quite difficult for our opponent to equalize. Also, if we do go here, and if no meeples come back, then we're actually still ahead, even if our opponent does equalize. This is still very, very good for green, but red did an excellent job protecting their city and drawing the last tile that could help complete it. 14 points was the score. So curvy tile for Nallerheim. Strategic decision here. Do we triple down on the field? I guess that's the big question. If we triple down on the field, does this give our opponent winning chances without the field? And I think the answer to that is yes. Maybe we don't want to do it quite yet. So Otto, take the 6-point road. Wants to catch up on the scoreboard a little bit for that scenario where red draws a lot of crossroads. And red now kind of, I guess, needs to start fighting for the field. 1 meeple can be dropped at the top. Not that easy to block that square. Of course, the last road Dorito would do it for you with no starting tiles remaining. But I guess there's technically 1 dagger still that fits into this square to connect like this. So I think I'd do that. After this, the plan for red is to start recovering meeples. And maybe to drop more farmers. But now green gets a fantastic tile. This road meeple is basically blocked. Not basically, it's just blocked. There's 1 tile that fits over here, and it doesn't even complete the road. It only prolongs it, and green draws this anyway. So this here So this here 3-point road guy is trapped. Phosphate goes a different route. He goes for a counter field, which does not appear that it's going to be enough, but it's still worthy try. If he prolongs his farm over here, he's going to have 12 points with 1 meeple, whereas Otto has, 21 points with 2 meeples. Yeah, Otto's still ahead, though. Probably cruising here. This city is a potential winning route. Actually, it is still possible to invade it. Never mind. It was actually quite difficult to do. But now it's possible to invade this. sort of kind of possible to invade this through here. Nallerheim now probably gets the 4 points. I'd bite the bullets and take them. I guess you hate to give your opponent a meeple back and give them tempo, but you're also getting a meeple back for yourself. You're also scoring quite well. I think the points are worth it in this instance. With 3 more tiles remaining that fit into this square, like your opponent could go fill that square anyway, but probably just take it. Red has committed to the counter field, so red really cannot do all that much regarding your main field. Like, red is going for some fieldless winning opportunities. But this makes me think, is Otto far enough ahead to start thinking of moves like this, which would block the invasion of this here city? He figures no, that 6 points potentially is too much of a sacrifice. Or, well, 4 points really is too much of a sacrifice. Phosphate scores for a different road, but actually Otto is happy to see this because he now has a tile, which allows him to fight for the farm at the bottom if he so chooses, or if he feels like being prophylactic, he can go over here at the top, simply block the square, not allow his opponent an invasion. But it's difficult to invade anyway. There are no Dorito tiles at all, and there's just one triple city tile to invade. I think the natural move is, of course, to go here and drop a farmer for 6 points, anticipating this here unification, forcing Phosphate to maybe drop another farmer in this here area to try and overrun. An alternative is to go here, meeple a 5-point road, seems to be a little bit early for things like this. Yeah, it's really between this super safe move and the natural scoring move. So I guess we just need to calculate how far ahead we are. But the answer is quite a lot. So I think the safe move was fine. Can't blame Otto for making a normal human move. He figures that there are still some scenarios where he might lose if red just gets too many scoring tiles, too many crossroads. Red now with a straight line. Not many options at all. Probably we just save energy at this point. I just don't see a comeback round if it is not connected to the top city. Nallerheim gets a scoring tile as well. And now I wonder if he sacrifices the 2 points and chooses to block the city at the top. He might do that. He might unify the fields, but it's only worth 3. Meepling a 2-point road is a little bit safer than that. Yeah, he goes the normal human scoring move. Figures that it's okay to concede the ruin at the top. Phosphate, of course, invades it. And Nallerheim will probably block that city. And I think that it might be necessary to do so because, yes, there is one tile, in fact, that fits into the square. So technically, it is possible to finish that city. Or actually, never mind, because, yeah, you know what? We just don't have enough city caps. So we have one over here. We have a triple city to connect. But there is not a city cap to add to the city to make it finish from this side. So it's so interesting. We have one to go here, but we don't have a normal one to go here. There appears to be only one city cap remaining in the deck, so Otto doesn't really have to worry even about the city being completed. He could just safely unify the fields at the bottom, gaining himself 3 points by equalizing a 6-point farmer with his opponent's 9-point farmer. Let's see what kind of realization he chooses. Also, you know what? In like a normal human game, especially when you have a minute on the clock, I might just go here because we know that there are not enough city cap to finish the city. But like, if you're in a real game, what if you're making a mistake? What if you miscounted? And if you block here, it's a safe win. Okay, our opponent gets like up to 15 for connecting here. Whoa. Okay, so Otto chooses to start a block. Phosphate now is trying to start a road. The block is complete. There's nothing that fit into that square anymore. That is, in fact, quite useful. Phosphate is trying to start a new road and complete it as well. Ain't gonna work. And Otto is even going to deny him the completion of that road. He could just invade it, or he can just equalize the fields at the bottom. Both moves are fine. It's kind of a question of style as to which of the 100% winning moves you choose. Allows a meeple to be recovered for red. Red temporarily ahead on the scoreboard. The triple city tile for the city connection is drawn by Otto anyway. He will use it to score 0 points in any of the various locations. Does not appear to make a difference as to which location that will be, as long as he does not give back a scoring opportunity to his opponent, which is not going to happen. 3-point road for red. And we're headed to a decider. Let's see what the scoreboard difference is. Nallerheim ends up just again leveraging the temporary meeple majority. Yeah, it wasn't even a permanent meeple majority until very, very late in the game. Somehow this road just got stuck here forever despite being one of the first roads. Actually, but you know what? I think I told you earlier there was a little bit more precise to meeple this road like this indirectly. And look at this. The move did have some unintended consequences for the Chinese player. I love how these opening moves just come back to bite you. Teeny tiny difference. Yeah, so very clean conversion for green here. Both games, we can see the side with the meeple majority knowing what they're doing. And now it's back to square one. A rematch has been created. Otto has the momentum. He does not want to break. Maybe for phosphated, break would be pretty good. Trying to calm their nerves. Although Chinese players are generally not known to be nervous. There are some exceptions, of course. In the meantime, the second match of today has been started. Yeah, so originally I was planning to stream only this encounter, and this, of course, is our main priority, the highest level match there is. But as you can see, there's several matches from other qualification tournaments happening. What's right now? Dinidad is already playing against Nice Dicer in the third qualification in half an hour. We have the second qualification tournament underway, so we might still be able to make that. Alright, let me know in the chat whilst you still can. Who do you think is going to win this last encounter? Otto is the starting player again with the green meeples, but his city is now getting broken by red. Red is also engaging in a mini battle against two of these green cities. Eventually, this city is actually super likely to be completed, so I would take green in this position any day. And look at greedy green, not finishing his city at the top, waiting for a crossroadless city cap tile, developing his city indirectly. Red starting a new city on the left with a shielded tile. Green is expected to pick off this 3-point road segment, which is exactly what happens, exposing a vulnerability here. In addition to that, green continues their city. Yeah, this lovely configuration. Of course, they're board shapes with 2 road segments on both sides of the city, like epaulettes. It's actually quite difficult to attack that city, but Nallerheim does this anyway. Pretty much the best tile in the deck that you could have pulled. Red with the first monastery of the game, but 2 points for Nallerheim, and of course deny the completion of this city unless a splitter is drawn. However, not so fast. Red with a monastery cluster now can go here or here. Not sure which one is better. Red makes the decision uncharacteristically quickly. I guess he wanted to build a road around the monasteries, but now I'm thinking that maybe Nallerheim can go for an unusual Ukraine-style move. He chooses not to do it. He chooses to just get out of the way. I wonder if going here was a bit more extravagant and interesting. Phosphate now trying to block this here square. Super, super important. Nallerheim now has 2 choices. Goes for the scoring move, already 12 points ahead on the scoreboard. Big tile for Phosphate, both physically and metaphorically, because now there's only 1 tile remaining into this square, so this meeple is all but blocked. Even if it gets this here tile, all these extra city pieces will add points to Green's city without really helping its completion prospects. 2 quick points for Nallerheim, 14-0 on the scoreboard, and vulnerability next to the monastery is being exposed. Nothing much can be down about that. Phosphate probably going to use this tile as a scoring tile. Of course, we'll never go here. We wait for a splitter tile, or we wait for our opponent to make some sort of block. We could go here, but it's kind of bad. So maybe we go here. Yeah, I guess we go here. Just start a new city. Then we also create a chance for somebody to score 3 points and go for an indirect defense of the square. Brilliant move from the Chinese player. I think the best of what he can make do in a situation like this. Otto now with a variety of options. We could go here, start breaking the city, but I love this move. Trying to break the split option. However, quick points for Phosphate will help them to come to the scoreboard again. -12 only, and also setting up 4 extra points with either the last remaining horse tile or one of the 2 remaining Dorito tiles to claim this here 4-point road. +16 for Otto as he finishes yet another city. Lots of city caps for the player with the green meeples here. However, Red is now trying to build a city with shielded tiles. 2 more Doritos needed to complete this. Otto with a straight line. Normally, you want to go here, and I think we actually do this anyway. Just keep scoring, start a road. Instead, he goes here, and the reason he chooses not to take the points, he wants to give himself some options to block the square, which now becomes irrelevant. But this opens the option for Otto to go here, start a new road, expose a second attacking platform against the city, and upon the completion of this road, try even to block the square. However, there are problems with this. So this is the natural move. This is where my first instincts want to go. But if we go here, then statistically, Red is much more likely to fill this square before we get to fill this square, which would create, again, further vulnerability here. So there are some scenarios how we lose a meeple. So Red could go here right now, for example. They might choose not to do that because I would hate to leave the city cap empty. It could kind of turn south for us in a couple of instances, but I think we do this. I think we do this anyway. We might even meeple the city cap. This is not that bad. Or we might go over here, try to continue the city indirectly and build it up as a mixed shape city. We could also, again, not crazy to just go here. Yes, I was thinking the other side, but okay. Otto's now going to invade that city, which I guess is good for them. But they might even choose not to invade. Like, what if we see some stinginess on the part of the Finn. What if he does something like this? Thinking that there are not many tiles that fit into this square. But not many is still some tiles. So with the lead on the scoreboard, he wants to be a bit more conservative. I like that idea. Defensive meeple placement. Nallerheim now gets bailed out, but this is where efficiency comes in. His square is threatened. And the first instinct is to go, wait, Otto, what's that about? I don't think this is the move in this position. I think the move is we go here, we take the 3 points, and then we set up a normal straight line with which we can complete here. I think it was a bit inefficient on the part of the Finn. I wonder what his idea was, because I really like this idea here, right? Because it gives you some extra points, it gives you value for the straight lines, and it also puts pressure on this here area. Now what we ended up doing, we gave back a 4-point road to our opponent for nothing. Will that be game decisive? Maybe, but for now, green still has the advantage. However, red is climbing back on the scoreboard. Actually, red will probably get this meeple back, so we're headed towards a completely equal position pretty much. Nallerheim with a straight line, which would have, by the way, helped him recover the road. So, scoring imprecision here, if you ask me. I wonder if Otto didn't see this geometric idea of covering up his road instead of recovering it immediately, or that was a conscious choice. The first farmer of the game is being placed. 6 points for it so far, but still some chances for development. A couple of green squares. This here meeple will result into a completed city. So a reasonable farmer, just a way to extract value from a seemingly meaningless tile. But again, some value could have been extracted if this tile were to have gone over here. I felt like, yeah, Otto was pretty much flawless in his match against Rabbit Train here. Teeny tiny slips once in a while. Let's see if teeny tiny affects the result or not. Phosphate now starts a new city in an interesting location. It could end up actually not so great for them, because there are many scenarios how a Dorito is drawn here. Now this square is blocked. These two meeples are connected. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but now that I think about it, there were just not too many places to start a new city anyway, while Nallerheim is scoring quick points with the last starting tile of the game, chooses not to go for the 50-50 block in this here area. Phosphate just keeps scoring like a beast. Nallerheim with a fantastic tile. He could go here for a 50-50 block, knowing that there's only one dagger tile remaining that fit into the square. Or he could go over here, score some points, and also threaten a complete block of this square. I think the latter move certainly has some strong arguments for it. It would also create a secondary field for 9 points potentially when the city's being completed, something that Otto can take advantage of, and he gets himself exactly this. Phosphate now with a difficult decision. He chooses to continue his city, but Otto now is going to finish the shared city, block the square permanently. Unless he has other ideas in mind, which he really shouldn't. Because, like, if you think about it a little bit too long, if you don't go here, then suddenly red can draw a horse tile, win a big ruin, or even a big completed city. With plus 11 on the scoreboard, I'm sure we're going to play it safer. Some alternatives include completing the city at the bottom, maybe starting a new city at the very bottom. I just doubt that either of these options are as strong. Yeah, because, like, even, if we don't think about the big cities being created, our opponent could draw, like, a dagger or a rose, and suddenly this here 10-point city is a bit of a drag to deal with. Also, if we go here, we block the square, we get a permanent meeple advantage, we create a 9-point field, which we are likely to take advantage of compared to our opponent. I think we do it. I think we go for it. But of course, we use our time bank with 1 minute and 25 seconds still on it. But Otto does not do it. I cannot possibly justify this move. I understand it. I think he was afraid of getting blocked on this square, but like, you have I don't know. I don't like this. Otto now with a curve. He could now restrict the city further, but now there are other threats to deal with. Red is about to finish the monastery and drop a farmer in this area, or even meeple this long road. Otto could go here and get the road. Otto could go here and get the farmer. Yeah, he chooses to get the farmer before Phosphate can do it, and Phosphate gets the perfect tile to go where, actually? We could go here for 8 points straight away, or we could go here and try to create that big city that I was talking about. Yeah, quite the dilemma here for the Chinese player. I think the best move for our winning chances is to actually go at the bottom and try to create that big city. Because we're running short on Doritos, and we're running short on triple city tiles, and there are some scenarios how we invade, and it's very difficult for our opponent to re-invade. So in many lines, what happens? We end up here, we end up with these like 12-ish points, and our opponent ends up with a 1-point meeple somewhere here. Otto with the last Dorito, however, will get some nice consolation. This square is now permanently blocked. This meeple is stuck at 3 points. Nallerheim can now go over here to get himself a couple of points extra. This will certainly help them, and I can certainly see scenarios how he still wins despite having the minority in this here ruin. But what if it is not a ruin? Now Red is creating serious threats about completing the city. Nallerheim can now go here for this monastery for 5 points, which is probably what I would do intuitively, but the longer I think about it, the more it seems that it actually does not really help us very much. Because what we need to do first, we need to deal with this square. We need to find some sort of way how we can get a straight line pointing in there. Because again, there are only field plus city connection tiles in the deck. There are no road plus city tiles connection in the deck. So this could be an easy block. Yeah, that is tricky. Because I guess this here 5-point monastery just doesn't do all that much. And yeah, I can understand him. He chooses to simply try and start blocking the square, and he adds a point to his opponent. But now, Phosphate has a variety of options. He can cover up like this, leaving still 3 triple cities that fit here. Or he can even cover up the other way, but this one's better. Nallerheim gets one of the connection tiles, could use it here to start blocking this monastery just for good measure. He could use it here to try and permanently block the square. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I think we just need to make normal moves. We go here and we try to simply continue, get a point at the top. If our opponent goes here, we try to invade, and this is where we might get blocked. This is where that scenario where our opponent gets 15 points here, and we are forced to stay here with 1 point. This is where it might come to fruition. Yeah, Green in a tough position right now. Finds the disciplined move. We don't need to run around screaming. Phosphate with some interesting decisions here. Actually, incredibly interesting decisions. So option 1 we just finish the monastery, get the meeple back, we create the longish road, we might even meeple that road if we're feeling adventurous, honestly not the worst idea. Option 2, we YOLO it. We go here, and we hope that our opponent does not have a blocking tile. In which case, we just defend this square, and we're set up for a 75% chance for completing the city. And I would really burn most of my time back to just figure out the probabilities about this, figure out if it is worth it. I think the main question here is, what is our win condition? Is it enough to just preserve the ruin for ourselves, or do we need to try and complete the city? If we want to try and complete the city, then this is probably the way to go, and Nallerheim does not get a blocking tile. He does, however, get a tile which gives him a 50-50 chance of not allowing this square to be completed. There's now only one tile that fits into the deck, and Phosphate gets it! He gets the city, he gets the lead into this game. This is absolutely incredible. Both players draw a cow tile. Phosphate's now 17 points ahead in a position which now looks hopeless, and now Otto is suffering really, really hard. He needs to find some extraordinary measures to win this game. Phosphate, with a super risky move, pays off. Calculated risks. And all that because this here square, which could have been blocked, was not blocked by the play with the green meeples. But I have to add, this mistake was provoked. The reason why Otto didn't choose to block here is because he felt that this here city was under threat. And the only reason he felt this city was under threat is that Phosphate placed this tile over here to kind of create an additional vulnerability, or at least the illusion thereof. And the player with the green meeples took the bait. Certainly sad moment for Finnish fans. Quite a happy ones for the Chinese fans. So what is going to happen now? I don't think that green is hopeless. Green can actually still win this, but it's an uphill climb. So let's talk about this. So green has 9 points for this farmer. 6 points for this farmer, but these are really 9 points for this farmer because he's going to get this. Okay, so these are 18 points. This is kind of like enough to cover the scoreboard. These two monasteries, of course, are gigantic. They're going to be 18 points at some point, or at least 16, 17. This here city, this here ruin does something. It is what, like 8 points extra? Or 6 points extra only in this mini battle, yeah. So Otto's having some problems here. And he chooses to solve them in a rather radical way. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work out. I like the idea to take the 5-point road and then to try and get the road monastery to complete that road. It just doesn't work. Phosphate gets the road monastery, has a gazillion good moves for them. And now we can meeple it here for 7 points, although we shouldn't. We can meeple it here for 8, although we really shouldn't. We can go here and drop a farmer, which is not crazy. We can go here and meeple it for 5 points. We can go here and meeple the road, which could be the way to go, actually. Yeah, it is absolutely big. He goes for the road. Otto with the regular monastery. Well, could go here, actually. At the very least, block this meeple. That's something. I think it's a must. And then we try to think what to do about it after. This here 5-point road could still get developed with a couple of road tiles. And even in theory, it could even be completed with something. But obviously, it takes so many tiles that it's pointless to do. Yeah, 6-point monastery has been drawn, which I think is decent, but I would have preferred the block a little bit more. I think Otto still had chances even after this. So my winning plan, if I am green, I'm not actually trying to score points with monasteries. I think I'm going here, and I'm trying to just block meeples, and then I want to get city caps. I want to get loads of city caps to develop the field on the left. If necessary, I drop a second farmer. If I get all the city caps, I can still probably win. Now, Phosphate can go for farmer himself, but then why would they do that? I'm thinking of a farmer like this to just equalize this here green guy. But then if we do that, there's some options how green goes here, creates a big field where green has the majority. I'm not sure how much I like that. Of course, we could go here and attack the ruin at the top, but that would be bad because there are no Doritos, no triple cities, no big city tiles to connect. And Phosphate starts a field in a rather unusual location, but one which actually does work. Otto now, of course, gets a straight line, which will allow him to get 3 extra points for his field. Long overdue. I don't see any other options here. We just go for it. 3 points are 3 points are 3 points, especially with 20 seconds on his clock. And Phosphate with a city cap for 7. And an additional restriction on the monastery. Scoring tile for Nallerheim, probably going to get 4 quick points for the city. He could also continue his monastery. That is not crazy. Maybe even continuing the monastery is better. Maybe we want to get a meeple back as soon as possible. Because if our monastery gets blocked, that's really bad. Or we could go here. That would be a permanent block against this square because this tile is the last of its kind. There are no vanilla city caps. There are no monasteries. So there's no way to fill this here shape. And then we still try and get a couple of curves here. We try to develop this here field. Yeah, there's still something to be done. But 13 seconds on the clock make it really hard. Otto does prioritize meeple recovery. Phosphate now has a choice which meeple to recover. He chooses to recover the top meeple. I think that the bottom meeple was maybe even more ambitious, but as long as Red gets 2 of his meeples back, he does not really need the 3rd meeple back. In addition to that, Otto now with a scoring tile. Now he's probably going to go for the quick points, and then he's going to try to recover the meeple, and then he's going to try and drop the farmer elsewhere. 36 points ahead on the scoreboard is the Chinese master. I wonder if the page needs to be refreshed. No, it is not. Otto is losing on time, but let's assume that they're not losing on time. Let's assume that something's just wrong with board game arena, which is probably the most likely outcome. Yeah, we can see clearly that they just cannot click. However, it would be nice to find out from somebody in the chat who's also on board game arena at the moment where exactly the issue is. Finally, 4 points are being scored, so I presume this game is going to be made turn-based eventually. Phosphate can now meeple another 6-point farm, or he can just finish his monastery and recover a 4th meeple. Not sure which one of the options is more precise, but I believe several ways to find a win there. Well, this is the approach chosen by the Chinese master. They just want to equalize the field at the bottom, which might be not the way to go, but it's whatever. It's whatever. Otto now gets an extra point, tries to create a bigger field, which is exactly what they should be doing. Phosphate now. Can they lose this, actually? Maybe. Maybe. If they try hard, then they can lose. So let me think about this. So these monasteries are completely equal. Let's say this farm is equal with this road. These here two guys are equal. Otto has like 6 points extra here. And let's presume 18 points here extra. So that's 24. That's only -8. That's only -8. Yeah, finally, the idea of the creation of the big field totally works. But Phosphate can now get himself a second field at the bottom. And 9-point move available for Red, which is probably what's going to be played right now. We're not even going to bother with the 4 points. Or maybe we are. Maybe we are. Otto now probably has to go for the farm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we're out of straight lines. And we're out of starting tiles. So we can't really do that. But maybe we go here. Maybe we just get a meeple back. And we try to farm a little bit later. We need to think of something that can still be done. We can also go here. A move which scores 4 points, right? Because we take our 1 road point and we also eat up this here 3-point farmer from Red. And that could be quite interesting, but 35 seconds on the clock is not a lot. I think if we want realistic chances, we just get a meeple back here. We just get a meeple back. We hope our opponent draws some sort of garbage, which I'm not sure what that even would be at this point. Yeah, Otto decides to be disciplined, go for the farm. Oh, there was a straight line, never mind. So then I don't like this move. As Otto, I think we had to hope for the last straight line. I think we had to go here and maybe invade. But maybe his idea is that he wants to do something like this. Okay. This move I don't really understand. I think the idea is maybe to block this square. Yeah, I guess that sort of works. Because now there's no idea of eating up this here big farmer guy. Oh, wait! Did Otto miss a chance? He could have gone here. Right? And that could have allowed him to go here later on with something and then eat up this guy and get 3 extra cities in his farm. Maybe that's what he had to do. Maybe it was just this. Now, of course, this would have allowed for Red to drop a farmer here, but Red would not have been guaranteed to connect. Oh, this is just filthy. Going for the road like this. Yeah, Otto's now trying to get a curve for this here area. Does not succeed. He can get 1 point here. Yeah. Did Green not see it? I felt like Green still had winning ideas. Just here and here, right? I wonder if anybody of you have already said that in the chat. This is what typically happens. I'm usually late to notice that stuff. Well, apparently not. And here finally comes the curve, just a little bit too late. Green is going to get a meeple back. They will not be able to reinvest it. So the farm has been equalized, but I believe by around 10 points. Red will prevail in this one. So the Azul Master wins the most prestigious of the 4 qualification tournaments, makes it to the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League for the first time. Otto's still gonna have a chance either against Devdin or against Miss Penguin 2 weeks from now in the consolation finals. So what is that score difference? 12 points, I believe. So not a lot, not a lot. And now I kind of really start wondering, maybe no, I think that was the way to go. I'm pretty sure Phosphate had counterplay, like Phosphate could have just dropped a farmer here, but it seems to me that you get higher winning chances if you do something like this. Maybe Otto's idea... I think Otto's idea was hoping that red gets something like this. And this tile is the only one which does not allow red to do any board shaping. It's kind of just a scoring tile, which is what happened in the game. And then green would have drawn a tile here and here, connected the farms, and still had this here farm at the bottom for insurance, just not allowing phosphate to get anything meaningful down. But then, you know, they're just... Yeah, I guess that could work. I guess that would work. But I wonder if maybe leaving this farm alone was okay, because it's only like 9 points. And it costs a meeple anyway, so it's only like 4 points extra compared to this. Then green can go here, 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 score 18. 9 for the expansion of the field. Oh, actually 21. Yeah, because you basically, you deny this guy 12 points. You get 3 extra castles in your main field. And what else? Yeah, so that's already 25 points. And you still have meeple to score extra a little bit. Maybe that was the way to go. It's, of course, a bit subtle. This is for endgame analysis a little bit later. Craft is also suggesting meeple recovery over here. Yeah, that's one way to go. Honestly, I think just at this deficit, this was the move. This is what feels right to me. And now that I see the unseen tiles, there were a couple of these city clunkers. There's actually scenarios how red never gets to benefit from this here field at the bottom. Like we get something like this. We get the big field, and the last farmer we even drop here for 9 points. And red gets these clunkers, and red is not even able to connect all the farmers. So we can end up with some like ridiculous 40-something score on the field. But most importantly is that all of that would have been irrelevant. It's really that one fateful move of just not blocking the square, which was also the natural move in the world. And would be curious to know from Otto in the future, like what motivated him to forego this block in a position where a win was almost guaranteed, where the tiles went so well. But, you know, props. A lot of credit goes to the Chinese master for many reasons. First of all, finding this here annoying idea. Then going over here with this Dorito, provoking a mistake, not giving up on this city. Then making the right decision, not shelling out for 8 points over here, but going for the high reward, high risk move. Then also going over here, allowing himself to get blocked, recognizing that there are not that many blocking tiles in the deck, not many curvy tiles in the deck, many straight lines in the deck, and drawing the last remaining tile that fit into the square for a big city advantage. After that, it was all technical. Otto, of course, trying to set up a big road, which did work, but the road monastery also helped red as well. So yeah, really fantastic performance from the Azul Masters, kind of afraid to even think what they're capable in the Champions League in the main stage. So certainly one of the ones to watch. Otto will be a bit frustrated with himself about this year performance. I know he tends to be quite perfectionist about his move, wants to try and find the optimal solution in every game. So this will be one to analyze. And yeah, still a week to prepare for the consolation. No, 2 weeks to prepare for the consolations finals, where either against Taelong Huang or David Bourdois, Otto Ikonen will try and qualify for the main stage nonetheless. Alrighty, so the match is over. Our stream is not over, however, because there are just so many matches still going on. Let's now relax and watch some lighter content. The next match that I had in mind is... where is it? It's starting right now, actually, in a couple of minutes. It is in the second qualification tournament. This one is for newer countries, and this will be the first appearance of Moldova on stream this year with their expert blitzqueen named Rodaz. And BDDL a higher rated player from Uruguay, nearly a master actually. Will you look at this? They were rated 672 earlier today. So Uruguay having a lot of stronger players, kind of generally Latin America, the communities are growing so fast. In Colombia and Chile, Uruguay now. So 3,000 games of experience, 650 rating at the moment, soon to become master. Perhaps Rodaz with, I think, mid 500s as their peak, currently descended into the high 400s, nearly 5,000 games of experience. Kind of overall solid player, maybe sometimes a little bit too fast. That would be their main weakness from my experience with them. Well, let's see what that results into, but just wanted to really quickly show you the bracket for that second qualification tournament. Nope, not like this, but like this, just so that y'all can see what's going on. And it's okay that we're going to miss a couple of opening moves. The opening moves are mostly straightforward anyway. Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Yeah, so this is the situation here. This is actually the lower bracket, so whoever loses gets eliminated. Whoever wins still has a chance to reach the Dutch expert with the spectacular screen name Meeple over People for the consolation final in 2 weeks. So fighting for survival here. This is the scenario. And I'm going to update the header real quick. Both players playing quite fast. Both players have a monastery. Just have a look at the position for a second, and I'm going to start proper commentating a little bit later. Yeah, there we go. This is how you spell eliminated? I think so. So what are we having? Rodaz with this as a starting player. Green Meeple is 0 points on the scoreboard so far. BD completed an 8-point city over here earlier, has the advantage with the extra monastery here. Very nice cluster. This here monastery still has to prove itself. Green, however, with a variety of quite safe setups for a total of, what, 6 + 4 + 4, 14 points when they get completed. This road here is a little bit apprehensive, a little bit precariously placed. There's some scenarios how a starting tile could create a block in the square, but overall, most of the time, this meeple will be safely recovered with a couple of curves for 4 points. BD with a scoring tile. Now, a inexperienced Carcassonne player might make the natural move, trying to connect the two cities. This, of course, would be quite bad, because it would open up the re-attacking platform for Green to take over that city with 2 against 1. And, of course, Red doesn't do it, but Red doesn't make a good move either. It looks like a bit of a waste of a tile to me. It looks like he's trying to be Rabbit Rain. And honestly, I've seen this move played by the Japanese Grandmaster. Like, where you just not meeple a Dorito tile, you place it next to your opponent's city cap. This early in the game, it really doesn't do a lot. I think we just go here. We should have gone here like this, invaded the city, not allowed easy 6 points for Rodaz, which he eventually is going to get. Maybe not right now with this tile. Maybe right now... Actually, what do we do right now? Do we just go here? Maybe we go here. Maybe we go for the road instead. Yeah, let's go for the road. I like the road. Let's take the 6 points. He goes for the other move. I don't think it is the most precise option. It still works quite well. You know, we take the extra point from the longer road. We free up this here monastery squares for future developments. That works quite alright. The farmer also makes a lot of sense. It's only 3 points for now, but 1, 2, 3 extra completed, 4 extra completed cities potentially, a boatload of green squares will surely make this farmer significant. This here opportunities, of course, is a downside for a move like this, because now this here meeple is feeling a little bit unsafe. presuming that the green guy goes over here, gets the 6 points, it now will give an opportunity for a 50-50 block against this here square. But speaking of blocks, it is in fact the Moldovan player who is more successful with this here standard move, trying to use the vulnerability of this square. Now will be completely successful. Gonna go over here, block 2 meeples of red compared to just 1 meeple of green. Red tries to respond in kind at the top, but this meeple is still relatively safe. It just needs 1 tile to cover up, and then we can try and build up an interesting shape like this for 18 points or so. The block is complete. There were some debates about the orientation, but this is the best orientation, it seems to me, because it leaves road tiles next to green's monastery, and green will be looking to build a 5-point road exactly. Has to be very patient with the tiles over here. But we will be looking for a 5-point road here in the very long term of the game. And of course, the ability to score extra monastery points as a result. Rodaz with a curvy tile, not many great moves available. He could actually switch his plans. He could go here and he could try pre-building this road instead. Yeah, he does something similar. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. He can maybe get a crossroads, and instead of taking these 2 points, he can meeple this here road instead. Or he can try and gamble. If he gets the crossroads, he can take the 2 points here, leave the longer road open, hope to get another curve, get 5 points extra, depending on the game situation. BD, in the meantime, chickened out of the monastery completely unjustifiably. This monastery was super, super safe. If red meeples it, red increases their winning chances by a lot, by a giant margin. Like, it's a bit difficult to estimate these things, but in this particular instance, this monastery is so good. Like, it has a road end for extra points, support of this here square for extra points. Rodaz, in the meantime, is dealing with this here meeple at the top. Now it's not going to be blocked. 3 tiles that fit into this square. Now putting pressure on this here road of BD. BD now probably going to do something like this. Try to not allow his meeple to get blocked. Maybe instead he connects to the city. Maybe instead he goes at the top. Or he tries to block his opponent instead. Also, honestly, not crazy. Rodaz now with a bit of a dilemma. He could now go here and try to finish his city, but also block his road. I don't think he's going to do that. He could also try and go here and finish his city, but expose multiple squares from which his city could be damaged. My favorite move is actually to ignore all of that and just go here and try to create the threat at the north. And it's specifically because this tile is a dagger tile. And we're going to have the epaulets. We're going to have the 2 protective pieces of shoulder wear for this here meeple guy. Because it's quite high. Wait, why did I say quite high? Quite hard to find a tile with which to bother that city. Yeah, but it's not an easy idea, that level, so Rodaz goes for this. BD chooses to get his meeple, so maybe Rodaz gonna have a chance to finish his city. Will he finish his city? He gets something better than finishing his city. I love this tile, but it's a tricky decision. I think we don't go here. Like, it's not a crazy to go here, just get the city points, still have a 50-50 chance for recovery of the meeple. That's nice. But if we go here and we take the 2 points over here, we're trying to go for the big bucks. And in this particular instance, I really, really like this decision. And we explicitly take the 2 points because I want to leave more open space on the board. If my opponent gets the 5-point road, yes, exactly, the Moldovan finds it. If my opponent gets the 5-point road, then I have a greater chance of drawing this here tile. If my opponent uses the road tiles to try and block me, and if I lose my meeple, well, then I use the curve to get the 5 points and I get some decent compensation for the meeple. So I like this decision. BD now in a bit of a bindy. Only 1 point ahead, and a meeple down in the long term Green has some mid-term threats, one immediate threat, which probably needs to be dealt with right now. We probably go here, we probably place a meeple here reluctantly. We then try to finish this here monastery in the future. I don't know. My instinct is just to address the square, but let's see what the Uruguayan expert has in mind for himself. Hi Nallerheim, commiserations for your loss. Sometimes those happen, and yeah, saying the pressure builds up for the second chance in 2 weeks is immense. Yeah, it's so unfortunate that I will probably not be able to cover it, as I'll have to take a break from streaming starting December 20-ish. I will be trying to produce content still, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that Ice Maze is going to cover it. So you'll get to see that match anyway. Yeah, BD with just an incredibly high-risk move. He chooses to go for the city restriction, leaving still 3 tiles that fit into that square. It's a lot. 3 tiles, it's a lot. And somehow it works. Somehow it ends up working. He finds himself a blocking tile. There's nothing that fit into the square anymore. But he has to sacrifice 5 points for this road and also some points here. So still okay position for Rodaz. It's okay that he's not going to go here. He now has a monastery here for 6 points potentially. This 6-point monastery is okay. I mean, I would do it for a couple of reasons I'm going to explain later. But it's a good monastery, not as good as this 5-point monastery was for green, but it's a strong monastery. There's still like a bunch of curves and stuff that we can use. We can use a city tile here. I think we have just enough to try and threaten the meeple recovery. What else? But the main thing that I like about this monastery is that it takes out farming options that red had. Otherwise, they could go here and kind of invade the field like this, or through this here square, drop some sort of insurance farmer. Now red will still need to work for their farming rights. For example, red could get a vanilla tile, drop a farmer here, but this would allow Rodaz to cover up a little bit. So let's see if that happens. So vanilla tile has been drawn. It makes sense for red to drop a farmer, but he does not do it, which I totally understand, because there's some threatening options about this. And but this will allow green to potentially build barricades around this field, and this is not a bad tile. And he goes for 5 points. I love this move. It was super tempting to go here and try to build a big city, but we need to take out the 5-point road first. And this here square is a little bit awkward, because it allows for some barricades, like a giraffe's neck, for example. There's still 3 of those. Rodaz now has a strong move in mind, as red is preparing to complete this here city. Now, there's several options here for the Moldovan. I'm gonna talk about them in just a second, but I just wanted to, first of all, visualize this here idea of potentially blocking off the field and trying to protect these beautiful 9 points and potentially even more points in a geometrical way. This field will open up a little bit when this road is completed, and Rodaz, I think, finds his best move. Gets himself a meeple on the road indirectly. And also restrict this here square. BD, however, gets the penultimate triple city tile. Rodaz, however, has a chance to go over here, continue his monastery, and even set up some sneaky ideas of getting a Dorito tile, like making this here city meeple enter this here big city whilst completing the monastery in the process. Not going to happen, as the first city comes to red. Probably an easy invasion here. Could go for an invasion here instead. We can quibble about that for sure. Yeah, it's actually an interesting choice, but we definitely try and fight for this here city. It's a lot of points here. Already 9. Even if it doesn't get completed upon the connection, it's going to be 12. The highest scoring feature available. Green is suffering on meeples at the moment, so red is likely to preserve the majority. What a move here from Red. Red chooses to help Green's monastery. I wonder what that's about. Well. I guess it's a way to hinder the development of the monastery, saying that, like, if you want to finish the monastery, you have to help me to connect. And I certainly can see that. But maybe from the perspective of a green player, we just don't try to recover our meeple. Because green is going to use the Doritos and the one remaining triple city somewhere in this area, I presume. Trying to save his city options. Now going here perhaps, or here. Red is now trying to create some vulnerable squares in this here area, but it's going to take a while. Yeah, I think green can turn the city into a threat. This is a lovely tile. There's still one of those remaining in the deck. There's still splitters. And if we commit to this here square, then there's some scenarios how we can complete this city. You know what? It is not that hard. So, yeah, this is the second best move, I think. I think in this position was better to go here because you see, like, if we go here, Red can continue their city or complete their city and create the blocking options, but this would give us a lot of defensive resources, So now, yeah, Red can do this, which make us require the same tile in a couple of places. Rodaz, however, gets themselves a good tile. Like they can go here. But now imagine, if this tile was here. Like if this here tile, so same configuration, but with this tile here. Now this city would have been wonderfully covered up. And just think how much more powerful it would have been. With two more tiles that fit into this hypothetical square, with a few Doritos that fit here as well. Well, actually just one, but whatever. Or even, like, we could have gone here and tried to fill this one with a splitter or a vanilla city cap and then with a different city cap here. So there were options. Still, it's a good configuration. It was still a laudable effort. Red is now ahead at 8 points on the scoreboard. A curvy tile for Rodaz will help him recover a meeple finally. And the city threat at the top will certainly be good for something. So 12 points ahead on the scoreboard is the Uruguayan player. Now a scoring tile with not many scoring options, of course, could go for 2 direct points in the only possible square here. This would give a monastery point for green, so that's a 1 point move. So I think instead, given a large number of curves, we go here for 3 points, try to get a loop. We could go here as well, drop a 6-point farmer, open an attacking square against this here city. That also works all right. So kind of one of these moves is what I expect. We do see the farmer indeed. Straight line for Rodaz, not many opportunities. 2 main options that I see, well actually 3 options. Option 1 is just get a point, set up a scoring opportunity, a little coin flip, which we are a bit more likely to benefit from compared to our opponents. Option 2, think for some restrictions of the ruin, maybe only marginal value. Option 3, we try break this connection platform. None of these spatial moves seem to me good enough, so I like the straightforward 1 point approach. Both players playing this rather well. I don't see any egregious blunders. There, of course, was this one super risky move from Red, which resulted into a successful block over here, but could have easily resulted into a largish completed city for green. We're way past this at that point. Oh, this dagger tile is interesting. Rodaz would have loved to draw it, but just a little bit earlier. Now we can think that he could go here, but not really, because this is the last tile of its kind. So if we go here, it results into a self-block of the city. We can't really afford it. We need to wait for either a splitter or a extender, or maybe the vanilla city cap, trying to get a configuration like this in the future. But basically we just can't touch this. We could go here. No, it's a little bit crazy. That would be bad. I think we just drop this tile in our field and see what happens. Like here, for example. And if we get blocked, no, come on. Why? It's either a miscount or simply some sort of a surrender. Like, why would you do that? Why do you self-block when you have a legit chance of completing a game-winning city? The most likely answer is a miscount. I think that green might be thinking that there's still one of these tiles left, but this is not true. All three of them are on the board here. And what could have happened is the miscount of the dagger is like you think that the left-handed dagger is the right-handed dagger, especially if the two are nearby. I can see how one's brain can glitch. But yeah, this is what happened here. Still, green has, I guess, some chances. They're 12 points behind on the scoreboard, but they have the slightly better of two fields. They have better developed ruins. I can certainly see how red never invades over here, and we preserve the majority in this here mini battle as well. It's still a game. However, red now gets a meeple back and 4 points extra. Of course, red now has a rather big advantage. Yeah. And Rodaz. Oh, this has to hurt so hard. Will not end up capitalizing from his greatest assets. But then again, even if he were to do so, it was actually quite hard to see. He would need to place this tile not over here. He would need to place this tile over here, hoping exactly for the last vanilla city cap and some sort of city cap over here. This move is strong, however, barricading off the field, and it could result in some success if BD goes here for 4 points, figures I want points here right now, then suddenly we draw a splitter, we go here for 8 points, we finish the city. We finish another city with another city cap, we get 8 more points. We get 6 points for the farmer. So that's why I expect that a player at this level, rated 650, regardless of whichever ways they achieve their rating in, is not gonna make such a risky move for just 1 extra point. Instead, they're gonna go here for 3 points and drop a city cap in their field. It's such a natural move to play, and I expect it to come down any second. Both players are taking advantage of the time bank. They get 45 seconds extra each move, I believe. Self-Evident is saying the road monastery phosphate should be placed in that 7-point move to prevent possible field connections. I'm not sure which of the 3 games it's referring to. So Rodaz gets the vanilla. Oh, it's gonna hurt so hard. Oh yeah, wait, what was that? BD did go for the risky move. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Like, this is one way to lose the game. I did not expect to see that coming. Or am I losing my mind? No, I'm not losing my mind. There's still one of these here tiles remaining that could complete an 8-point city in your opponent's field. Come on. Yeah, the Uruguayan expert really does not mind some spicy variants, and they get to sort of kind of correct their own mistake, but they end up having to sacrifice a point anyway. Rodaz dropped a city cap in their field, which makes sense for further field development because they can think how this here is likely to get blocked, and so they try to get themselves an opportunity to score 7 more points. Yeah, that works. That works all right. Blocky move here, soon to happen. BD gets the critical tile anyway. He might even just take the 1 point here. 4 points for the city, -3 for granting development for his opponent's farmer. Rodaz, I believe, does not have any further city caps. But actually, what we do know, with the run out of tiles in the game, he would have been able to threaten the completion of this here city. He did get the extender, he did get the city cap. Even the extender he didn't have to use. He did have to use that. He did get the vanilla. So at least could have gotten himself a couple of points, at least would have forced a distraction from his opponent. Starting a new city now, so probably not really counting tiles. There is 1 city cap remaining, I believe. Oh, 2, yeah, or 2, never mind. So I guess in that sense, in that case, it makes sense. Alrighty, so BD with plenty of chances to score points. Yeah, and this is exactly what happens. 4 points for the road, but 3 extra points are coming upon the completion of the critical segment. Note how red has not yet connected to the big ruin. Maybe they never will. Maybe they sometimes will. The first of the 2 remaining city caps comes down. 3 points extra have been gained. Rodaz is probably going to block the connection somehow. I believe it is still worth doing, as there is 1 road Dorito available to fit into the square. So the correct block is like this, not allowing the road Dorito to be drawn. And with 2.5 minutes on the clock, I believe they can count it all out. So we just need to prepare ourselves mentally for the next game. And so do our Moldovan fans. Do we have Moldovan fans? Or at least Romanian fans, like close enough. Well, red gets both city caps, so no love from the scorer, from the deck. For Rodaz, they will be stuck with that 1 point meeple forever. And now, not even an opportunity to score for this crossroad tile. 5 point monastery for red will seal the deal. And the road Dorito goes to Rodaz for 1 extra point at the bottom. Hey, that's something. Definitely a lot of credit goes for the Moldovan expert. They did set up some threats. They were not afraid of volatility when they were being behind. The Uruguayan expert sometimes riskily, sometimes recklessly endangered their winning chances in a couple of moments, but by drawing a couple of key tiles, they sealed the deal quite easily. Exciting game overall. It's enjoyable to observe when players are not afraid to do things, regardless whether it's justifiable or not. And in some cases it were, like Green, for example, managing to deliver this block, managing to develop this here big ruin, and at some point even threatened its completion, just the technicalities didn't quite work out. This here setup of a 5-point road plus city was quite nice. Red, however, also some nice moves of their own. This move was quite an interesting adjustment, sort of kind of helping the monastery of green, but freezing the monastery at the same time. And the adjustment was made due to the meeple minority of green, and green ended up suffering a lot, staying without meeples, losing some quick points opportunities. So red managed to convert their advantage quite nicely, and they are going into the next game without any breaks, and so will we. Well, actually, since the game hasn't been created, let me just get and grab some more hot water, as I will need it for my voice, and of course a reminder to y'all to stay hydrated as well. And we're back. Whilst I was replenishing my hot water supplies, so many things have happened. 17 tiles have already been played. BD's the starting player, has a lead on the scoreboard. Rodaz now dropped a farmer for 9 points and protect his vulnerable city. That's super nice. BD starts a new city and now does not allow Rodaz to complete this year's city. Instead, probably green needs to start a new one at the bottom. This year, 9-point farmer, super nice. It can get closed. It can become a 12-point farmer if this year's city gets completed. Also, we notice how both power splitter tiles have been used. This one for the benefit of the player with the red meeples this time, finishing them a larger city. Rodaz with a bunch of small ones, kind of tagging along. Whoa! That is interesting. It's an interesting farmer. I might actually quite like it positionally. The idea, of course, is to try and score multiple times for the same completed cities, especially for these tier 2 guys. We kind of build some barricades. Yeah, that's quite nice. BD, however, will be happy to pick up these 4 points. Creates a vulnerability in this square, which is the same vulnerability as this year's square has. But Rodaz finishes the city! Of course, he's not going to go here. There's still 4 tiles that fit here, so he goes here and even drops another farmer, which he has to do! But does he know that he has to? Come on, of course, yes. These 3 farmers make a lot of sense. Of course, normally you don't want to overfarm, but they all are in different parts of the board. It takes quite a long time to complete all these here squares for the player with the red meeples to try and make those farmers combine and lose their value. And Rodaz could now go here, just expand one of his farms, I guess, and then try to get something like a Rodorito here to completely build the barricades. However, red is now trying to block this here square. Only 1 tile, no, actually 2 tiles remain that fit there, so still not that bad. Green still has a couple of meeples. I probably prefer green in this position over than red. I'm not sure. It's interesting. It's a very back and forth position. In direct continuation of the road is the verdict from Rodaz. BD forgoes the 3 points but chooses to create the threat of completing of the city. Rodaz cannot quite attack it. He probably needs to go here now to cash the city setup. 4 tiles remaining that fit into this square. BD with a city tile can start a new city somewhere, maybe even here if he's crazy enough to try and maybe build like this. You know what? If I'm red, maybe my long-term dream is to go here, 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 here. This would unify all the 3 farmers and create a gigantic long road for 16 points all the way around this area. And with 6 meeples, everything is possible. He chooses a different approach, one which I don't like, because Rodaz now has a very strong move. He can now go here and now start attacking the city and also just bring the city into this here field and also cover off this here square and not allowing the unification of this here farmer with everything else. So actually this farmer will score 12 points unshared with anybody. So that's what was another option. Another option was to go here or here and try to kind of build some sort of separation at the top. This move also makes some sense, of course, trying to start blocking one of these here critical squares. Rodaz now going to go here to try and block this here area, or maybe here, or maybe he could wait with the block and go here first. I think I would have preferred a slightly different ordering. Yeah, we can always go here. We can always go here later. Because the thing is, like, if our opponent takes this here field, this is great for us. Yeah, I think a little bit impatient. A little bit impatient. Here was stronger. Alrighty, so BD starts a new city. Rodaz with an interesting tile. Normally, of course, you love using these sort of stuff for field development, but now there is only 1 green square, and even that square is just only partially useful. Yeah. I think a bit of an impatienty. A bit of an imprecise play from the Moldovan, but it's a situation which is quite difficult to navigate. This move I do quite like. Maybe I would have preferred the other way around. Can I try to go here first? No, this is nice. This is nice. Because the idea here is we start a new city safely, and then we also exert additional pressure here. This is very nice indirect defense here from BD. By restricting this here square, they make it not only more difficult for green to complete their own city, but also they make it safer for red's chances of survival here. BD with a city cap, a tile which they absolutely love. They can go here, actually. Yes, exactly. We're in no hurry to finish the city at the top. We need to keep our opponent without meeples. This is the strategy that worked very well for BD in the previous game, if you remember, when he chose to lock in his own meeple together with his opponent's monastery just to create a meeple disadvantage. And this tile will have to hurt quite bad for the Moldovan. as his city is all but blocked. There is only one tile that's remaining to fit into this square. And red still has chances to complete that city. He just needs to find a bit of an unorthodox move. He needs to make a point sacrifice here. It might be tempting to go for a 5-point monastery or for a 3-point road in one of these areas. But if you want the city to be developed into a true threat, you can now go over here and take the 2 points. And he finds this move. I like this idea. There are plenty of tiles for city caps that fit into this square. But Rodaz gets the last dagger! He's going to finish the city, and he's going to even create the threat of permanent block over here. He might even think of dropping a farmer. I think that would be a little bit extra. BD now needs a straight line or something like this to complete his defense. It's actually even better. He can do something like this, maybe. Actually, no, it's not better. I think he needs to use this tile as a straight line, facing it upwards. Nice discipline. Even drops a farmer, anticipating the completion of this here city. There are now 4 tiles that fit into this square. This is now a critical square that needs to be obstructed. Rodaz now has to find the move that goes over here. But even then, there will be some chances of city completion for the Moldovan, for the Uruguayan. The city is likely game decisive. There are some situations how green can still win with fields, but a more reliable solution is, of course, for green to block everything. I'm sure he will find that move. At the early expert level, this is fairly standard play, but of course you use the time bank to make all the calculations. You actually need to check something. You need to check for abnormalities in the tile distribution. I can see that there's still 3 straight lines remaining, so with 3 straight lines... Oh, no, come on! Really? 4-point road? What does 4-point road do to you for your winning? No, come on, man. Come on. Well, surely now we go here. We can't just, like, the 4 points don't do anything. Yeah, I think finally the realization comes, but now we can have an indirect defense. I wonder how important that city is. I don't think it is that important. I think I don't want to be sacrificing points. I probably want to go here for a 5-point monastery this time. And then I try to get a curve here, I score points, get a straight line, block this meeple, and so on and so on. This seems to be just a little bit extra, because then I can lose quite a lot in some of these scenarios. Yeah, so for example, if we go here now for an indirect defense, which could be tempting for some players. First of all, if you go here, then what you're saying is, I can't win this game without completing my city. I don't think it's entirely true, and BD recognized that. He goes for a high-scoring move. Rodaz with a lot of relief, because he gets himself the exact tile that he wants, which would fit here for BD, but it's the last of its kind, so it did not fit anymore. So he could go here and permanently block this square, or he could even like go here, or he could even do nothing. However, if he does nothing, then there's still a chance for the city to be completed with a triple city tile plus a rose tile, for example. That would be quite bad. So I think we need to show some discipline. And we probably have to go here right now. The threat is just too annoying to deal with. No! Come on! Not a miscount! Oh, no, it's a miscount for me, right? Yeah, there's still one more of those remaining. Okay, so this move actually makes sense. This move actually makes sense, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I should have believed in Moldovan tile counting skills a little bit more and improved my own. I think I know what happened. I was actually thinking about the previous game still, where for a long time there was only one road Dorito. Well, Rodaz draws this anyway. Still, decent position, at least like the biggest threat has been averted, even though it cost us a meeple. But eventually, Rodaz is going to get a tile over here. He's already 2 points ahead of the scoreboard. He's going to be ahead 8 points after this here city completion. He has a lot of fields. So just 3 points over here should do a good job. Maybe getting a meeple back is an option. But then I don't like leaving that shielded tile exposed. Yeah, I like this simple play here from the Moldovan expert. Just continuing with accumulating their advantage. BZ now, of course, can continue their monastery and block the road. Or at least severely restrict the road. This is what I expect them to do. Just make green work for the meeple recovery. Green gets the city tile, which can be used either to connect everything at the top, which I think we should go for. Like, the simple move is sometimes best. Normally, it could be a bit risky to do this because your opponent could reinvade, but with no road Doritos, and this time I triple checked, no road Doritos available in the deck, it would not be possible to invade. The only tile that would fit into this square would be some sort of city cap tile like the roads. Oh! But Rodaz chooses a different approach. I wonder why. I don't think it's a good idea. He chooses to get himself 2 points instead of what would this equalization would have given, instead of 7 points. Yeah, so a 5-point sacrifice just for this one square so that we can get more points. But there are not enough tiles to get more points here. Okay, there's the quadruple tile, there's the extender, there is the triple city, right? But it's just takes so long to build up. There's really not a lot of points in doing this. Well, anyway, the decision has been made in the way it has been made. And I guess Rodaz can now take advantage of one of the tiles and try to develop his city a little bit more. Unless he thinks it might be safe to just go here, which it probably is, honestly. You really want to grab points when you can. BD is doing a good job diversifying his asset. He's trying to make counter field these little small bits, trying to get this here road, which is very nice, winning the coin flip for the road tile. Yeah, this is typically how you play against farmer control. You just try to score. Oh, look at this. The Moldovan does go for an 8-point city, which will cost him in the short term. He's going to have his city restricted. Quite an easy decision for BD. We restrict the city. We go for 6 field points. But Rodaz gets the city completion tile anyway. So 8 points and a meeple back for Rodaz. 9 points for the farm, but no meeple back for BD. Definitely the Moldovan wins in this exchange. And he still has a chance to go over here and attack this field anyway. BD, however, with a scoring tile, could get his meeple back, but it would allow Rodaz to go here and separate his 2 farmers from being unified. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still a couple of crossroads remaining. Great tile for Rodaz here. Could score 3 points. Could restrict this road. Could score 3 points over here. Still maybe wonderful moves. And this curve setup is also quite useful for him. 12 points ahead on the scoreboard. BD can probably go here for 3 points, or he can go here and try to score a little bit by unifying the field. But I think we have to take out the points first. We're a little bit too far behind here. The fields of the Moldovan are just monsters. He chooses to unify them first, which I can also understand. With this tile, the Moldovan just needs to not do anything stupid, or really, ideally, just not do anything. We could go on the right and invade the field, but it sometimes goes quite south for us, with our opponent being able to meeple city caps and then drop a farmer and reinvade. We just need to drop this tile somewhere away from everything, but I can certainly understand the Moldovan desire to do just anything to do something with each tile. It's not so much a Moldovan desire, it's more of a regular Carcassonne player desire. You kind of, but sometimes the best move is just to wait, which I believe what it was in that case. Some opportunities now for Rodaz. I think the best move is to go here to not allow BD getting a curve and me playing the wrong road. And ideally also, from Rodaz's perspective, we want a curvy tile here to get this here castle into our field. Well, let's see how it goes. Actually, I maybe even don't even mind the meeple too much, because we sometimes get a tile that gives us a meeple back here, but like it's a bit unnecessary. I think it loses a bit more often than it wins, in the sense that like it's a move which decreases our win percentage. It does not increase our win percentage. Yeah, so this move also makes some sense. Can try to cover up some squares. BD is now probably going to take 3 points for the road. Gonna take any points he can. Oh, the blocking of the farming invasion. Yeah, that I guess makes sense. I think BD does not have the luxury to do that. I think probably I take the points, I allow my opponents invade, and then I try to re-invade. But this move also makes some sense. This is actually a permanent block, so this is quite nice. There are no curves available, no road monasteries available, so there's nothing that fit here. BD now with a scoring tile, which is lovely for them. They could get their meeple back, but there's no point. There's not enough tiles to use it, so here's probably the move. Or maybe here actually is also not crazy. But 3 points are 3 points are 3 points. This is what I expect from the Uruguayan expert. I wonder if it's getting close. No, I don't think it is. Rodaz just a bit too far ahead on the score. You know what? No, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The game is a bit closer than we think, because 5 points extra is the assets of red here. 5 points extra here, that's 10. 8. Road is what? 6, that's 14. Fields are 6 extra for this guy. Overall, if we count those farmers, those farmers, those farmers. So BD's only behind 4 points and he's up 2 meeples. So Rodaz needs a meeple back like ASAP, or he needs something like a curvy tile, which I don't even know if it exists. It might not. It does not exist. There are no daggers, as we know. So BD chooses to try go for the field unification, and Rodaz, I don't think it's worth it, but I can see how it could work. BD, I think, should have meepled the road, but whatever. Finally, Green gets to continue his city and benefit from both fields. Monastery for BD. Now that surely will be meepled somewhere for 4 points. And a straight line needs to be drawn now. Now, needs to be drawn. Because these here 2 cities, they do quite a lot. Well, they're being scored for twice. And I think this is why Red chose to sacrifice so many points. He chose to sacrifice 3 to try and gain 6. Yeah, 5-point monastery, of course, is strong. But it's his Rodaz who gets the tile that fits into this square. He's not going to put it there. Instead, he's going to go here for a 5-point road, which is his highest scoring move, and be content with his life for the moment. His tournament's life, at the very least, survives for 1 more game. This will be headed into a decider. In the meantime, the 3rd match will start in 5 minutes between Maciej Polak and Pavel Breen. This is in the First International Qualifier. Rodaz is going to score 0 on his last turn, but he's okay with this because BD's not going to score all that much anyway himself. Just needs to not do anything stupid. And I guess the only stupid thing you could do is lose on time. Or, yeah, if this move is perfectly fine, BD is going to pick up a 4-point city in 3 possible locations. Chooses the leftmost one. And with that, the Moldovan equalizes the match. We're headed into a decider. So far, this has been quite entertaining. Yeah, this geometry is powerful. Like when some splitters are drawn, when there's some Doritos, when it's difficult to connect all the farmers. This is a classic example of how over-farming isn't actually over-farming. Whilst the 2 farmers at the top were united and thus devalued, the 3rd farmer at the bottom never quite reached them, leading to a comfortable 24 points in this here area, which was enough for the Moldovan to take care of business. Not by many points, interestingly. $10 points, so reasonably close. Alrighty. So now we're headed into a decider real soon. Unless I missed something. I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, the score is 1-1. Oh, in the meantime, yeah, we didn't give any attention to Idinidad and Nice Dicer, but Idinidad won in the 3rd qualification tournament. Did I already say that? Maybe I already maybe I already said that. So then we have a Belgian casualty today. All right, let's renew the page. No break this time. Still liquid available. So, what are we having? Rodaz is the starting player. They start with the road. BD has the red meeple to respond with the road as well. Rodaz continues his road, which is an okay move, but a more ambitious move is to actually take a second road just to clean off all the road ends. This move is also kind of very fine at the early expert level. But the first monastery is going to give a boost to the winning chances of the Uruguayan, and so will these 4 points. So it's always nice to be ahead on the scoreboard early on. Not for long, as Rodi will be completing a city and creating a largish field, which honestly now can be taken by BD. I'm actually very curious what they're going to do. They start a new city instead, so a more closed position approach. I actually do quite like this. The square is somewhat vulnerable. But another approach was to just go here and drop a farmer straight away and try to build a farm. But I like this idea because BD, well, I'm not sure if they're recognized or not, but because they're the second player, they want to be playing a low variance game because they know, or at least they should know, they're going to be at a disadvantage in the end game. So it is in their interest for the game to be decided before the end game. And one way to do this is to just keep everything closed and keep scoring points. So Rodi now with a hugely important tile, saving their city, dropping the first farmer. BD will now invade that city, even though, of course, he would love to use this tile over here at the top, but we cannot afford that. Yeah, some discipline. from the Uruguayan, soon to become master perhaps, maybe a little bit less soon after the outcome of the last game. And maybe even less soon after the outcome of this game, who knows. In this position, I'm not sure if I prefer green or red, maybe red slightly, but that starting player advantage, it will make itself known. A positive aspect of this move is the field restriction. So for example, now green cannot really develop this field too easily. Green can go here, loving this idea, yes, just creating the threat of building a bigger city. Just exerting pressure, you know. In the meantime, red with a nasty plan to free up his meeple for 3 points and try to threaten this here square. This can easily be dealt with. If green goes here, this square will become unblockable. This square will become mildly more vulnerable, but really at this point it is really whatever. And a blocking platform will be created against this here square at the top, so a lovely multi-purpose move. BD now needs to make a difficult decision between continuing his own city and invading this here city at the bottom, which could turn into something tangible too soon. It is also possible to just start a new city and develop red's monastery instead, like over here. That could be quite interesting as well. Actually, I think for this one I'm going to need really some opinions from the chat too. So it's a bit difficult to evaluate the advantages of one option over the other. I guess the lowest variance approach is just to go here and just to go for the invasion. You know, because sometimes green can get the city cap, green can get some city tiles, finish this here thing. But this move is perfectly justifiable. Okay, let's now see if green is going to prioritize the completion of the city. So I could go here if I'm green, leaving 3 tiles into this square, being 1 tile away from going here. I do quite like that idea. I could also go here, yeah, but this seems to me a tad too slow, I mean, it's fine, because sometimes we get to have this extended invasion, delayed invasion. I actually quite like this tactic on most boards. And this board might not even be an exception, because you know what? Now, if BD wants to go over here and invade the city, then we can always change our plan. We can always go here, finish the city, and drop a farmer. Oh, but look at this. BD now goes for this here approach. But now we can change our plan again. How about we try to go here, cover up the city on one side, indirectly continue our road. Ah, but a different approach has been chosen. He just wants to finish the city, bail out. I think mildly impatient. This square not gonna get blocked. Oh, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Because now, well, first of all, this guy scores only 3, whereas this guy is technically unlimited. It is also controlling a second road meeple, so this is pretty bad. Then this here road meeple is vulnerable, because let's say if red gets a tile here, then green gets blocked. Green, of course, gets to invade red city, which is pretty nice. Yeah, but I think this move was just impatient, because if you just go here, then later you can do stuff like this, and then you really threaten to get a game-winning city. I think big cities are, of course, very much appreciated at the early Carcassonne levels, like 100, 200 rating points and stuff like this. Oh, look at this. A road is being invaded. That's actually quite an interesting option. Yeah, why not? Just to minimize some variance, and also to close down the field on one side. Ah, this is also quite interesting. Now, green, of course, draws a very timely field expansion tile, also tying the fates of this here road meeple with the monastery meeple of red, potentially hoping for a road monastery, which would just solve almost all of green's problems. The only really green problem that he has in this position is just this meeple, which is simply does not score enough. That's the one issue. Rodaz, however, gets a good tile. He can now finish his city. Not even bother with the second farmer. Just get some meeples back. And have a 9-pointer on the field. Complete the playable position. A bit annoying because of the mini battle. Because Red is going to develop his side of the ruin a lot. Oh yeah, I wanted to finish my point. So like at the early levels of Carcassonne, big cities are very much loved. Because it's just so satisfying to finish them. And more experienced players realize that the bigger the city, the easier it is to find a square somewhere and like block it or invade it and just generally thwart the completion of the big city. So more experienced players generally don't go for it. But Masters love finding exception for this rule. And if you can find yourself a reasonably big city, which is like game winning, and you have, let's say, 60% chance of completing it, well, then that's wonderful, because if you complete, you win already like 60% of the time. Plus, you probably win some of the time if you don't complete it, if you get some sort of different tiles. So, at the highest levels, there's... the higher the level, the greater the concept of creating threats. And I think maybe here Green underestimated as to how wonderful that city could have become. Lovely run out for Green right now. They get to consolidate. They get a meeple back. They get the lead on the scoreboard. And Red does not get any road tiles. So Red is not able to go here, not able to farm. This move is actually quite nice. Still giving the chance of some nasty blocking opportunities. But I would have probably preferred just going over here like a normal move. Rodaz with a lovely splitter tile for themselves. Presumably just developing the field is fine. And this is exactly what they do. They do it in a bit of an extravagant way, but I get that too. They just don't want to give back connection platforms. I get that. I would not bother at this point, as Red doesn't have too many meeples anyway, as they start to 6-point monastery at the top. In fact, what I would be worried about is the 6-point monastery itself. It actually looks quite powerful, quite likely to be completed. Not something that I want to be seeing if I'm rooting for Moldova. Thrilled if I'm rooting for Uruguay. Quick point tile for BD, getting closer on the scoreboard, threatening the integrity of the little city of Rodaz. Easy decision for Rodaz, continuing the little city, getting out of harm's way, and now a truly interesting tile for BD. So many options here. Option 1, we go here, invade the road, connect to the road. That seems solid. This, however, covers up the field somewhat, and it will be a bit difficult to invade, and that's why this option is the most principled one. It's just ignoring everything and building up the monastery at the top. Rodaz could take these 4 points, but why when we can just take the more points at the bottom and we can try and block this in the future? I don't like the idea of giving back our opponents a meeple too early, even though this would not be a big mistake necessarily. Like, a big positive aspect of this hypothetical move is the fact that we would deny a city cap to our opponents, but I like the option that the Moldovan chose. Ahead on the scoreboard, developing the field, probably forcing BD to drop a farmer now, or at least eventually. Maybe even now. Not much to do with a straight line, so we might as well just go here. Nearly unblockable invasion with another straight line, perhaps. Another approach is to do this exactly. Yes, yes, yes. And try to just thwart the development of the field. I don't think it's quite the way to go, because eventually a tile is going to be drawn here, and if we're not quick enough, it could be a 15-point field control of just one meeple. Rodi, for example, can go here and cover up his Rodi. Like this, for 8 points, not necessarily giving a meeple back to red. Well, red still needs to work for it, needs to invest a couple of city tiles into this rather awkward city piece here. So this would be my choice, and he finds it. No second meeple, I was gonna say. The second meeple seems to be a little bit too early. On the other hand, if he gets a curve, he's gonna get a meeple back, so I think this is okay. Actually, yeah, you know, the extra meeple is not necessarily crazy. However, there are some scenarios how green just stays with 12 points there, and it could be not so great for green. Green now has a variety of options, as red is preparing to finish a 6-point city at the top, as well as a 9-point monastery. Option 1, we go here. We try to limit this. Sometimes we lose because our opponent can pick up a 3-point road, but it could be a worthy try nonetheless. Option 2, we go here, protect the square, try to develop it further. But this move makes a lot of sense, and if our opponent gets this city and gets this road, then we can sometimes block or restrict this here square a little bit. And of course, it is now more difficult for red to finish this here monastery, as it was exposed an additional blocking platform against this here square, so everything's alright. Solid move. Now more quick points for Rodi. The Uruguayan seems like he's a lot behind, but remember, 2 monasteries are about to be completed, so the game is still fairly balanced. BD now needs to score 2 points in the best possible location, actually, for a variety of reasons. That's some nice subtleties here from the play with the red meeples. Rodi with a good tile uses it to connect the cities, which is a bit risky, as this city could be invaded later. I think if I'm playing as somebody who I perceive myself as ahead, I just go here and start a new city against my opponent's monastery. But this move also makes some sense, trying to make the square a little bit more vulnerable. Maybe even looking to get a city cap, drop a 6-point farmer, anticipate the completion of this here city. BD is trying to prevent just that. And we could do that, of course, right now, but why not just take 7 points in our farm? Of course, this is what's going to happen. There's no reason not to do that. I guess one reason is giving back a 4-point road, but still, we're going to have a net profit there. We get 7, our opponent gets 4, it's a net 3 gain. BD does not get the road, BD instead gets some sort of a scoring tile, but so many options for it. And I think the main elephant in the room, or rather the horse in the room that needs to be addressed, is whether we try and wait for a city cap tile, or are we okay with just taking the 5 points right now and trying to turn the city into a long-term project. And given the state of affairs, especially after this move, after anticipating that our opponent could get some quick points here, I probably like the more ambitious approach in this here area. If our opponent invades here, we sometimes get a vanilla city cap with which we finish our monastery and re-invade, so this city could turn into something valuable, but instead he takes just 2 points. He wants to keep things a little bit smaller, just waiting for a regular city cap. Rodaz with the last road Dorito of the game. Maybe he's going to start a new city at the bottom. I would like this. I mean, we have 2 meeples, really. Not many places to use this. And what I like about this move is that there's some scenarios how our opponent gets a monastery, and we kind of pre-Ukraine these 2 monasteries. Yep, this is exactly the move that I had in mind. I'm not sure. What's a pre-Ukrainian technique? Moldovan technique, right? Because they share a border. Exactly. There we go. Well, the idea, of course, is just anticipating a monastery over here, and then with the city we can control it. And if a monastery never comes, then we can actually just build up a city like normal. this is an interesting move. So BD now knows that there's not much value in preparing this here monastery square. So they choose to prepare another monastery square, and they take away some of the tiles which they can use for the monastery completion. But this means that their main intention is to just finish it with another monastery and nothing else. A move which makes a lot of sense. But all that makes a decision quite easy for Rodi. We're going to see eventually a Dorito descend into the square, the threats of the city being completed, being created, and for Red having just one meeple, it will be very difficult to invade that city. Instead, they're going to have to go for some sort of block, but that's a giant mistake from Rodi, which is going to cost them so hard. So, first of all, when you start to move like this, you really need to know how to continue it. Now, they've just made a 0-point move, which disrupts their city, although they get the perfectest tile in existence. But even that perfect tile might not be enough. And they also prepare a square for the monastery for completion. I think it was definitely much better to go here and try to prepare to complete with a city cap. Because now, Red has a square for the monastery here and a square for the monastery here. And with 3 monasteries in the deck, he can still draw 2 of the 3 monasteries. The chances are 50-50 for that. Now, Green can still continue to complete this city, but the reason why I said the city was disrupted is because there was a very low number of triple and double cities. In fact, this is the penultimate triple. Okay, there is 1 triple city remaining, and there's like barely any Doritos remaining. I think there's just 1. So it's going to be a while until the city's getting completed. I think Rodaz, but he can't go here now because he has to go here to block this guy. And to block this square as well. Of course. And we still try to finish the city later, either with the last Dorito or... Actually, yeah, just the last Dorito. This is tricky, isn't it? Actually, I don't think it's all that tricky. I think a block is a block is a block. We really want to not allow our opponent to get an easy meeple back. Yeah, suddenly it's getting all close. Really tense position. And does this block work? Oh, no. A miscount again. Sadly, from the Moldovan player. A severe miscount with over 2 minutes on the clock. Instead of blocking the city, he's protecting the city. Right? It's protection. Because there's still not 1, but 2 tiles that fit into the square, which is an infinite number of tiles this late in the game. And if you just turn it the other way around, there would have been 0. Because all these road Doritos have gone out. It's actually quite an easy calculation. I'm not sure what the issue is. Maybe nerves, maybe a misclick, maybe something like this. BD can now go here, make some sort of a defense. Of course, needs to make the full calculation as to which way the defense is better. In this particular instance, it is in fact this way, and he finds it. Rodaz with 1 of the 3 monasteries still needs to dodge the other 2. This city, by the way, is permanently trapped because this was the last tile with which it could be finished. So this is interesting, right? I just want to check if I'm miscounting anything. I don't think I am, no. Definitely all 10 Doritos on the board. Both splitters on the board. 8 triple cities on the board. Yeah, so there's nothing that fits here. So, unfortunately, the thing with the lip-shaped city, it looks safe. But if there are no tiles remaining that make the lips, then it is very unsafe. And BD gets a dagger, just not the kind of dagger that we want. However, it's a good tile for BD. BD can get 6 points for this here farm. Kind of about the best thing that he can do at the moment. This will give a meeple back to Rodi, but it's like whatever. And then still, BD just has so many setups. The daggers here, then like the city cap over here to finish the monastery, start a new city. Yeah, it's just too much to deal with. And the 2 monasteries over here. So at this point, red is like close to guaranteed to win, I think. Despite the fact that Rodi is 9 points ahead, despite the fact that he has this here field. The setups are going to score so much. Yeah, it's quite an interesting situation where the side which is behind on points and equal on meeples is actually the statistical favorite to win. A patient move here from BD, just choosing to grab a point. That also is one way to do things. I think dropping a farmer would have been perfectly fine. 6 points are 6 points are 6 points on a dry board. Maybe with all his setups, BD figures out that the extra meeple would be of better use for green rather than it is for red, and he would have been correct. So this move I can understand. Curvy tile for Rodi. Probably looking to... I don't even know what. Block something? No, but there's nothing we can block, really. We just try and draw our opponent's setups. That is what it is. But there's so many of them. So many of them. 2 tiles here. 2 tiles here, and there we go. We complete one of them. A farmer descends over here for 6 points. I think it's GG at this point. Or close to that. Rodi, of course, still has the farms, but the farms are compensated by the monasteries. BD has the ruin as well. So does Rodi, but BD has the extra field, and BD still has the 2 monastery tiles, the 2 setups. Yeah, and all of that was made possible by just one simple miscount. This is very, very sad. Rodi with a respectable effort to try and expand his field and score some 7 points. And there are, in fact, city caps to do that. BD, however, with a 7-point move, is going to counter that. 7 points for BD, 7 points for Rodaz for completing the city in his field. And he doesn't even get to do it now. He gets to do probably a little bit of blocking. And still 2 vanilla city caps to complete the setup for BD, which is exactly what he's going to do. A 6-point move, 1 for the monastery, 5 for the city. Meeple back, Meeple recycled immediately. Yeah, like these setups where you finish a city, start a new one, they're so satisfying. And they're very often just correct. Oh, look at this Rodi getting himself his setup. So 7 point for the Moldovan to make the score respectable. BD with a tile which he cannot use productively. I guess just 1 point next to his monastery is good enough. This might allow Rodi to get an extra city. I don't think it is a big concern, however, at this point. Yeah, there is one rose tile to score 4 points. So, red might have an aversion against giving a city cap to score for his opponent. So maybe instead we just go here for 3 points for the farm, drop our last meeple, try to make it 6. Sounds like a solid endgame to me. This move also is perfectly fine. A point is a point is a point. Rodi with a 5-point monastery in any of the available location. And BD is probably going to score up to 5 points on his last move as well. The next match is already underway. And I think the score for that has moved off screen, so I'll take care of that a little bit later. Yeah, BD gets the 5 points for themselves, 1 for the monastery, 4 for the city. And probably 1 extra point for Rodaz is what's going to happen. And let's see what the score is. It's going to be reasonably close. 1 point for Rodi. 18 points field with 2 meeples, so the field itself is respectable. Just some imprecisions. Well, really 2 crucial mistakes here for the Moldovan. Overall, good position. Start out really well. Field control, even meeples. But then this here city, the start was good, but the build-up allowed the completion of the monastery for red, whilst ended up resulting in a self-block for green. This was a bit of a more judgment thing, because I've seen this mistake made many times at this level, but unfortunately at the top, the accidental defense instead of a block was either a misclick or a miscount, and this made all the difference. 7 points only, actually. 7 points is the difference, so that miscount alone was 10 points. So even that thing, yeah, 1 blunder can easily decide the game, like it is in chess. Close encounters indeed, and we have to congratulate overall Rodaz for holding their own against a player nearly 200 rating points above them. It will be, however, the Uruguayan who advances to the next stage, and to Rodaz we say thank you for the participation in the Champions League, and goodbye for now. We will be moving to the next match shortly, but I want to just keep I just want to have a real look at what's going to happen over here. Yeah, so this is the second road for Rodaz. They're eliminated. BD is going to play against the winner of this here duel, which has not been decided, and then in 2 weeks BD might reach the consolation final against the Dutchman with the screen name Meeple over People. So next on our menu is a match from Qualification 1, which is happening right now, where Pavel Breen is playing against Maciej Polak and winning against Maciej Polak, which I guess is a bit of an upset. Pavel Breen, of course, a strong Ukrainian master. Maciej Polak with the reputation of the world champion from 2021. So world champion is a title which never gets taken away from you. Anyway, let's see how that goes in a second. I just want to have a look at what interesting things these guys are saying. And also I want to adjust the score. I want to do a lot of things. So just bear with me. We might miss a few moves from the games, but it's whatever. We're playing the long game here. Yeah, there we go. So this is the score. Actually, never mind. Let me just move it a little bit like that. Yes, perfect. Alright, so I want to talk about the players a little bit. Tehran with under 2,000 games of experience on the platform, but a peak rating in the mid-700s. Obviously world champion in 2021, does not need a particular introduction. Pavel Breen with a peak rating of around 750, I believe, has achieved several third-place finishes with the Ukrainian team. Just very solid, likes open Carcassonne as many other Ukrainian players. And they're now playing their second game, which may or may not be the last, I don't know. So Pavlo's ahead 1. They're equal on the scoreboard, and they have 1 tile to place. Playing with a 5-minute time control, which with a 15-minute time control, which is nicer for many reasons, according to me. Okay, this one looks like looks good for the Polish player, maybe? Actually, I'm really not sure. It's going to be super close again. So equal on the scoreboard. There's big field, worth a lot of points. And here, these here guys scoring a lot, but they're shared, okay? So this doesn't even match her. 7 for the monastery for black, 6 for the monastery for black, that's 13, and 6 for the farm, that's 19. Some shared farmers over here. 4 points extra for the city. But then now blue has this here city, this here city, this here city, this here road is going to be so close. Think maybe Pavlo still withstands this by a couple of points, but it's going to be like 2-3 points either direction. Can't do math that quick. Pavlo is typing something in the chat suggesting that he won, and yes, he's winning by 2 as a result of his extra farmer. And will you look at this? What an upset here. The Ukrainian Masters defeating a former world champion. Pavlo is trying to be polite, apologizing for his luck, which may or may not have been the case, saying too much luck. I never do that. I don't think he has to do that. It's sometimes part of the game. As long as, you know, like you don't gloat or you didn't say something, oh, I played so much better than you when you just drew goat tiles. I don't think you just need to... generally, to apologize things which are outside of your control. Well, both players are polite. Definitely much nicer than the opposite. Also, Tehran explains his ELO loss by tiredness. Yes, sometimes it happens. Normally, of course, if you're tired, you might want to, you know, play some easier games. But really no choice if you're participating in a qualification tournament. So I get this. Not everybody can be always at their top of the game, even the world champions. Although I'm not sure who is saying that the game was speedy. I guess Pavel is saying that Tehran was playing fast, because you can look at the time remaining, 6 minutes spent for the pole as to almost 10-9 actually for Pavlo. I watched the finals of the 2021 World Championships. Actually, yes, Tehran is the protagonist of possibly the most viewed Carcassonne video in the world. The finals of the 2021 World Championship had 500,000 views. I didn't get an impression that he was playing fast. Maybe because he was playing against Melvin Quaresma, who also tends to play fast-ish. But neither player really played fast because they were playing with these here huge tiles. Those of you who have been following Carcassonne from before COVID, those of you will remember. Let's just have a look at their conversation a little bit more, and then we'll go through all the brackets. Appears to be that there are not going to be any more analysis beyond exchange of pleasantries. So huge win for Pavlo, defeating a big name and coming closer to being the 3rd Ukrainian to make it to the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League. So a refresh needs to be played. There's going to be one more match today, which I unfortunately will not be able to stream as it's way too much for one day. Tomorrow, if this is the only match, I'm planning to cover Blue State versus MTU, a fight for in the 3rd qualification tournament for winners of international competition. Should be very interesting, with MTU being the favorite, now in really good shape, reached an ELO of 860 recently, which only a handful of people in the world have ever done. A week later, I'm definitely going to cover this yummy from Q4. And if something's scheduled tomorrow, then if there is going to be a notification for a stream, that will be at a very short notice. Well, anyway, let's just there are a couple of other things that I wanted to see. Was there any interesting... Oh no, there was just an exchange of pleasantries. Honestly, it's nice to see such an atmosphere in this tournament. Definitely way, way better than the opposite. And practice games are always a good thing to arrange. Now let's just close all these tabs. So many matches today. So what I want to check. Oh, yes. I wanted to check on the status of Pavlo Breen. Just how much exactly does he need to qualify? So this was the losers bracket, so he is not going to get eliminated. It is the Polish champion who's going to get eliminated. Ooh, and Pavlo Breen now going to have himself a chance for a rematch. He lost 2-0 against Chile's Edgar Townsend, a master who is in quite hot shape at the moment. So I'm going to say that unless Pavlo steps up from today, I'm not sure. Today seemed to be just fine, right? But according to Pavlo, he played bad. Maybe he's just being too modest. He's probably being modest. But anyway, he's going to need quite a lot to win against Edgar here in the final of the lower bracket. And then if he manages that, he'll have to go through the Doctor in the consolation finals. So this is the situation in the D sub-tournament of the first qualification tournament. So that all should be enough. First of all, a reminder to you all to subscribe in case you want to get notifications for more broadcasts, because due to so many matches, notification will come at a very short notice. Before you leave, don't forget to meeple the like button if you liked anything about this, because it is more useful for the algorithm than you might think. And of course, thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.